Hello, good evening. My name is Richard. This is Over and Over and Over Again, and this is the Arsenal review of the year of 2023. It's just coming to an end, and we are going to look back on the last 12 months, the good and the bad, and just have a sort of look back on all the memories that we've got of this year, which has been a mixed year overall, hasn't it? But we'll get into it all, and it'll all be coming up the other side of this. And I am delighted to welcome two of my favourite guests of the year back on the show, of course, Neil and Lee. Neil, first of all, how you doing, my friend? Good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you too. I'm okay. Happy Christmas and all that to the two of you. Hope you've been well and enjoyed it.
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. It's sort of nearly over now, which is quite good, isn't it? I like to get back to normality, really. You know, it's nice to have a few days off and stuff like that, isn't it? But sometimes it just drags on a bit too much, doesn't it? It's been, I mean, it could have been better, I suppose, in terms of the football, but we'll get on to that as well. And Lee, of course, as well. How you doing, my friend? Good to see you. Merry Christmas to you as well.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, Rich, Neil. Same to you guys. It's been a while. Good to see you both. Enjoying Christmas. Just watching the same old films as we all are. You know, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and Back to the Future 3. I could probably act a part in it myself. Half these films, but it's a tradition that you sit there and kind of. I suppose your mind goes back to when you were a kid watching it a long time ago. I mean, that's the abiding memory. But anyway. That's Christmas, but good to see you both. I hope you've had a good break.
Yeah, not too bad at all. Now, just before we obviously get into the year of 2023, which we will do, I suppose we have to really just have a quick chat about last night's game, really, which was a bit of a disaster, let's be honest, from start to finish.
Rich?
I mean, well, just briefly. I mean, I know you was there, Neil. I mean, I've got to be honest, and I'm not happy about it, but I'm not really surprised by what I saw last night. This is something that's recurred frequently over time. You know, we have some great performances, we look really good, and then we'll throw in some performances like this, and it happens quite often. And that was how I felt about it last night. Really, I'm thinking, well, this is exactly what I've been seeing too much. If we want to be taken seriously, and you know, West Ham played well, they defended brilliantly. But we have got to get something out of that game. Surely we've got to. I mean, Neil, so you were there last night. And what was it like from actually being in the stadium? Because watching it from the outside, it looks awful. The performance was awful.
Well, I'll just go over a couple of things. I'm not going to talk too much about the games. I just don't want to. I just wanted to erase from my memory, to be fair. And that probably tells a bigger story, doesn't it? It tells the story, really.
Yeah.
Firstly, I've been in Block End before, where the Ashburton Army is. I think it was for the Sheffield United game, but this time I was right next to them, like literally right next to them. So in terms of atmosphere, it was fantastic. I mean, I like all of that, guys. I don't know about you, but I love the beat, the drums, and the noise. I love all of that. It's something that I've always wanted the crowd to do anyway for a long time. So to be amongst it, that was great. But the only disadvantage for me is because at the moment I've got a bad back. That block just stands. 1-2-5 just stands throughout the whole game, and I'm like, oh my god! But it is what it is. I enjoyed it in terms of the atmosphere. So it's give and take, pros and cons. So from the atmosphere point of view, I didn't have a problem because it was brilliant for me anyway. Performance wise, I'm not going to talk about it as much as I said. I just think that. I thought, like the Liverpool game, I thought we started off the first 15-20 minutes was actually pretty good, and then after that we just died. After that, that was it. You know that I remember at the very early doors, Saka did some amazing piece of skill which like lifted the whole crowd, and we just thought it's just a matter of time before a goal goes in because we were playing so well. I mean, all of the players were playing well. I think they were really on it, and for some reason, exactly like the Liverpool game. It's almost like we just shut down after 20 minutes. It's like, what's happened? It became so predictable, so, how can you say, inept up front. You know, this side-to-side, we were moaning about the side-to-side passing in the past about, oh, guys, you still there? Oh, sorry there. About the midfield, and that's okay, about the midfield and the defence. And I just found that, you know, it was happening up front. It's almost like they were clueless, they were toothless. We didn't know what to do. It was very predictable. Anytime Saka had the ball, he had 2 or 3 defenders on him. Martinelli, with all his drive and enthusiasm and his intent, it mounted to nothing. And at one point we were playing with 4 wingers: Trossard, Jesus, Martinelli, and Saka all on at the same time.
Yeah.
And then that's why you get the thing that they're crossing, one side to the other, one side to the other. Where's the penetration through the middle? Where's that focal point in terms of a holding centre forward who could be a focal point to actually try and drive the ball into the net? I found it absolutely shocking and damning. And oh my goodness. I mean, Raya's penalty save was a highlight for me. I think he's the first Arsenal goalkeeper to score a Prem goal in God knows how long, because I can't remember the last time it's happened. So that was a bit of a highlight. And the other highlight for me was a bit of banter. I remember when I think they were about to take the penalty, the whole Ashburton army had just shut down. Everyone was quiet, sullen-faced, and the West Ham fans were saying something. I can't obviously repeat it on the pod, but they were going, where's the bleep bleep with the drums? And so the drums started drumming, and the whole, honestly, I'm not kidding you, all the Arsenal fans, we all started laughing. It was nice. It was a nice moment in a bad situation. And you know what? That brought home to me that end of the day, as much as rival fans have this, thing against each other, when it's banter like that, it makes it all much better. I know it was a horrible point in time. Yeah. It was a horrible, we were 2-0, we were losing, we've lost the chance to go top. But that one moment, it just, like, everyone forgot about it. Everyone was laughing. The West Ham fans, the Arsenal fans, it was hilarious. So that's my take on it, guys. Sorry it's not in depth, but I just wanted to forget about the game.
No, I mean, we don't want to dwell too long on last night, really, anyway, because it wasn't the best 90 minutes that we've ever suffered. I mean, Lee, what did you make of it all last night? Because, I mean, the performance for me was just, I go back, a typical Arsenal performance under this manager. These performances are more of an indictment of where we are, rather than maybe the performances where we beat Sheffield United 5-0 and when it all comes off. These are the performances that are more important to me, because these are happening too often, and it kind of disrupts any flow and momentum that we ever seem to get.
Yeah, I was at the game last night. I got a ticket off Jay Patel off here, so I'd like to say, hey, thanks, Jay, for the ticket, and can I have a refund? Right. You know where to find me for a refund. No, thanks anyway. I'm joking. No, it was. I thought the atmosphere was a bit flat. I mean, it was a horrible night. It was. People were probably dragging themselves off sofas and doing long journeys to get there. And it weren't a great night, but obviously lucky to have tickets. So of course we all want to be there and enjoy the game. And it was. It did seem a bit flat to me. And as you've mentioned, you've alluded to, Rich, the game followed the same pattern of a number of games. Like Brighton more recently, where again, lots of chances, 20, 25, 30 chances, but never really looking like scoring any of those shots. We've probably had 2 or 3 clear-cut chances last night in other games, but it's the number of times we get in and around the box. Or last night, I mean, they mentioned it on Sky, the amount of touches in the box, trying to dribble it in. Odegaard trying to do the impossible goal, go put it through people, and he was good. He persevered. Some great shots by him, but Neil said it, just too predictable. Trossard and Martinelli both out. I'm looking both out on the left hand side. I'm thinking, well, this is a new one on me. We have got 2 wingers. Of course, same on the right hand side, but and it's almost like we're trying to. We remind me a bit of Chelsea, but at the back end of the late 90s. Not with Zola, that team, really talented team, always trying to walk the ball in, always trying to get the ball, flick, touch through the legs, into trying to score the perfect goal. You don't guess what? You don't have to score the perfect goal. Just sometimes just swing a leg at it, and the trouble is, I know Odegaard was guilty of it. A few of them were. The ball come on their wrong foot. The ball come to the right, Odegaard's right foot. And he was in the box, clear chance to shoot, and he come back on the left. And you're like, it's raining. It's pissing down with rain. Swing a leg at it. The chances are it goes in. If it doesn't go in, the keeper's going to spill it. But we stop, we come back, and so the overriding emotion for me in the stadium was frustration. And, the amount of times I had my head over the seat in front, continually doing that, because it was just, you knew what was coming. You could see it. And there was parts of that game I was thinking, we are so predictable. I feel like I could take a few 40-year-olds in the crowd, and we could all stand at the back and defend. Even the keeper, even the shots were like pass backs. So yeah, really disappointing, especially at home to West Ham. They're not a bad team, to be fair. They're well organised and they're well drilled under that manager. But you kind of, Rich, it has been coming. You kind of, it's almost like it's like going into a film. You've seen this film before, where we're knocking on the door, we're going from left to right, and the amount of times I was thinking, just go down the middle. Jesus is good at the ball at his feet with his back to goal. He can turn this way and that, and maybe get a shot off, but we just don't seem to do it. We just go left, we go right, we go left, we go right. Every now and again, Zinchenko tries to play that ball into, but I mean, I won't even talk about Zinchenko last night. It was awful. It was dire.
Not just last night, but, unfortunately. Yeah, I mean, it was. You're right about that. It does seem like Groundhog Day a lot of the time watching this team. We've got, if we want to play, get the ball wide to the wide players, they want to get to the byline, pull it back, all that kind of stuff, and move the ball from left to right and right to left, all that kind of stuff. If that's what we want to do for majority of the game, then that's fine. That's our style of play, and every team needs their own style of play. We need something different when that doesn't work, and we don't have anything different when it doesn't work. No, and like you said, we brought on players, and we just made it more complicated instead of simplifying it. Simplify the game, get the ball forward, put it into the box more. Like you said, have shots. Try something different that we wasn't doing. That's what, and we never do that ever. We never do that ever. And that's what's holding us back. It is what's holding us back. I don't have any doubt about that. But
sorry to just cut in. Lee was spot on earlier. He's about when Odegaard had that moment. There was so many, because where we're sitting right behind the goal, right behind, so you can see it all. Many times, Lee, so many times where a player is on and they want to make it even, prolong it. Why prolong it? Just go for goal. You were spot on. It's raining. The surface is wet. Anything can happen. We don't always have to win by scoring the perfect goals. We can try and win by getting a crude or a dirty goal. It doesn't matter. In these situations where a team has come and set up, so it's difficult to break them down, right? They've come and set up that way, and they had their couple of chances, and they scored from both, right? So when you've got to play a team like that, you take a chance, because you can't all do this fancy stuff all around the box and leading up to it. You just try and have a go and see what happens, because you might get a deflection. The keeper might make a mistake because the first surface is slippery. The ball might bounce awkward. He might miss it. You don't know. Why were they looking for that? That extra pass. It doesn't make sense.
It's like we're trying to recreate the Wilshere goal, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? And I just think the goal's big enough. The keeper's 6'4". If you hit it low and he saves it, he's not getting down quick. Jesus can slide in, but we just don't do it. We're just waiting for that. That eye of a needle. It just does. It's a 1 out of 20 goal.
Yeah, it's just the same. It is just the same thing all the time, isn't it? It's the same thing. Odegaard will always look for Saka. Saka will either look for Ben White on the overlap, or he'll give it back to Odegaard. And then if Odegaard can't go back to Saka, he'll come inside to Rice. Rice will go the other way. He'll go to Martinelli or Zinchenko, and then to Martinelli. And then it gets repeated, and we're just playing a cross in front of their penalty area. We do it all the time. It's almost like Arteta seems to think that you get points for how much possession you have in the final third. He doesn't realise actually you've got to score a goal at some point in the game to win it. He sometimes doesn't seem to figure that out, does he? And this has been going on. This is not just because of last night. This has been going on for 4 years, pretty much. Certainly 3 years of this same style of football that's not really progressing us up the pitch enough. It's not. I think it's holding us back. I think Martinelli's form's gone out the window because he's too restricted. He's got to drop back into left back because for some reason Zinchenko's allowed to do whatever he likes, make mistake after mistake after mistake, disappear off his duty in defence and just bugger off somewhere, get in everybody's way. Twice he's done that in consecutive games. Crashed into our own player, which is one resulted in a goal last night and almost a goal against Liverpool. He's a disaster on the pitch, and we got rid of Kieran Tierney out on loan, who's a million times better left back than Zinchenko will ever be, just because Kieran Tierney can't play in midfield. If you want someone to play in midfield, pick a midfield player. Don't pick a left back. All this inverted nonsense. Arteta is confusing everybody, overcomplicating it. And I've wanted him out for 2 or 3 years, and I don't care if he gets sacked tomorrow. Quite honestly, I've had enough of this boring crap football that doesn't lead anywhere. And it's not just because of last night. I've been saying this when we were top of the league a few weeks ago, because nothing's changed and nothing will change. Unfortunately, while we're in this situation with this manager. It's not going to change. And whatever we think, whatever we can hope all we like, and we've got hopes, of course, we want to see Arsenal winning big trophies, and we can hope that. It's just never going to happen. It's never going to happen with this man. But anyway, let's forget all that because we want to be talking about the year as a whole. And the year as a whole hasn't been as bad as last night. Last night was one of the worst moments of the whole year, potentially. Now, before we start, there are a few stats I want to go through. We actually played in all competitions 54 games. There's one game left, of course, on Sunday. We played 54 games. We won 30, drew 13, and lost 11. 8 of those 11 defeats were actually in the Premier League, which is too many if you want to win a title in a year, really. I mean, no, it's over 2 seasons, but 8 defeats in a calendar year in the Premier League. You're never going to win a league with, 41 games we played in the Premier League. We lost 8 of them. That's too many defeats. So that's a problem there. We scored 109 goals in the 54 games, which isn't bad, I suppose. It's reasonably good. We let in 58, which needs to be improved. It has improved maybe in this season as opposed to last season. So a lot of those, a higher percentage of the goals were last season's goals as opposed to this season. But even so, 58 in 54 games isn't great. And top scorer in the whole year across all competitions, and this is the biggest problem that I've got, not against a player, is Bukayo Saka, 16 goals. He's not a striker. He's not a centre forward. No. He plays wide. And he's our top scorer with 16 goals. And that's all. 16 goals in a whole year is our top scorer in all competitions. And he's not even a striker. Our top scoring striker would be Jesus, and he's got 13. Yes, he's had injuries, but 13 goals in a calendar year for us, number 9. It's not enough. It's not good enough. And these, to me, are the issues that we've got. Now, we'll break down the competitions because, I mean, some of them won't take long. The FA Cup, obviously, didn't last long, did it? Back in January, February, whatever it was, we lost to Man City. We'll write that off, waste of time, that competition. The Carabao Cup this year, we worked hard to beat Brentford and then threw it away against West Ham. Pathetic performance that was. Wrong team selection. Out of 2 cup competitions very early again. I suppose one of the shining lights, has been Europe to a certain extent. Yes, the Europa League, the back end of last season didn't go well but the Champions League, back in the Champions League, fantastic to be back there. Won the group. I mean, Neil, the Champions League itself, then the 6 games that we played in the group went well, didn't they? As well as we could have hoped for, back in it for the first time. It wasn't the strongest group, but we did what we had to do, and some good performances in there as well, especially at home.
Yeah, I'd say probably some of our better performances were in the Champions League, ironically enough, not the Prem. I think we, considering we haven't been in it for 6-7 years, and then to go in there and top the group. I mean, all right, we had that blip against Lens, didn't we? But even that we recovered from, and we pretty much won most of the games convincingly in the way I saw it. The last game was a nothing game, and even that we didn't lose. I think we made a few changes and we still managed to eke out a 1-1 draw, I think it was. But I think generally, I think it showed me that, I think in Wenger's era, despite getting into the competition year on, I think 20 seasons on the trot or something silly like that. We even in Wenger's era, there were some seasons where we struggled in the group stages, and that was against teams that you'd expect to do quite well against. When I saw the draw made, I wasn't that disappointed. I always thought that there's no such thing as an easy game. I say that always, even about the Prem. There's no such thing as an easy game. Every game is a tough game. And people were saying, "Oh, that's not a bad group." I said, "Well, you say that, but it's the Champions League. It's the elite competition. So don't just be complacent. They're tough, tricky ties." But one thing that was in our favour, I felt, was there wasn't much travelling to do, which I thought was a massive advantage. Because if you think about it, all 3 were quite close. So I thought that was an advantage, if there was any. But I thought that we pretty much played our first 11 that we were in the Prem, and I thought they done well. I thought the lads done well. I thought they acclimatised to it quite quickly. Some of them have never had Champions experience before ever in their careers. So that's another thing you've got to take into consideration, and they did really well. My only gripe at that point, if I am going to have one, is I did feel, now I don't know what you two have thought to this. I haven't spoken to you guys for a while, but I thought it was a little fair on Ramsdale. This is me personally, the way, because I felt that he was a big part of the team getting us to the Champions League last season, getting that place, we ended up second, if it'd been second, third, fourth, whatever, but we got to the Champions League, and then to be completely, not even giving one game until the very last one, I thought that was a little bit harsh. That's how I felt at the time. Look, Rich, Lee, I'll always say that I always want what's best for the club. Sentiments aside, we can fall in love with players. We can really like the way they are off the pitch. They can be lovely people, lovely human beings. But ultimately, what I want is the best for the club. That is why I'm in this. That's why I'm in this part of this family. I want what's best for the club, you know, and we take wins, draws, you know, losses together as a family. That's the way I see it. But I still want us to give it 100% every single time we get on the pitch. So in that respect, I want the best players. But I just felt, for me, I don't know how you see it, when Raya came along, if he was like night and day difference to Ramsdale in terms of quality, I'd be all for it. But I haven't seen that. I actually have not seen that. A lot of people disagree with me, but I haven't seen that. It's a massive gulf. There might be a small one, and there might be certain strengths that he has that Ramsdale doesn't, and vice versa. But if you take their first, I don't know, 10 performances, and you look at both of them for Arsenal, I'd say Ramsdale's were a lot better. I would anyway. And I don't understand why. I think it's obviously leading to Ramsdale's exit. Whether it happens in January, it'd be stupid to get rid of him in January, because if something happens to Raya, where are we? But it's obviously leading to that. It's quite clear. But I just felt that he deserved a little bit more of a shout for the Champions League, if not the Prem. That was my gripe with it. But I thought that generally and overall we done brilliantly in the Champions League, and we ended up top, which is brilliant.
Absolutely. I mean, the Ramsdale situation, I think, has caused a lot of noise, unnecessary noise for me. I mean, I've never known it before when a team buy a new or bring in a new goalkeeper and replaces the previous goalkeeper. I mean, we did it with Leno. Was the same when Ramsdale came in. Nobody kicked up a fuss. Poor Leno been left out of the team when he hadn't really done anything wrong. You know, and it was, you know, I suppose Martinez got sold and there was a bit of a hoo-ha about that at the time. But I don't know. I found all of that with Ramsdale and Raya a bit strange. Obviously, Arteta wanted Raya before he got Ramsdale. Clearly, that was his number one choice. He's managed to get him. Of course, he was going to make him number one. And all these people saying, "Oh, Raya's come to be sitting on the bench." No, Raya was there to be number one. Now, yes, he could have played Ramsdale in some of them group games. Of course, he could. But I think he wanted to get a good start. He wanted to play his strong team in the first 2 or 3 games to get the points. I think losing the second game put a bit of pressure on us then. So then in the third and the fourth game, he maybe couldn't rotate because we had to win those games. Had we won the second game as well, two wins out of 2, I think he may well have put Ramsdale in maybe game 3 and game 4. But I think the situation in the group didn't enable him to do that because of that defeat. So, but I mean, overall, like you said, we 4 wins out of 6. We won the group. The last game was irrelevant to a certain degree because we'd already qualified and we'd already won the group. We got a draw, fair enough. And it looks good anyway, you know, 4 wins out of 6, top in the group, and we've got a decent draw. So overall, the Champions League was good. The opposition wasn't top elite level. You're right, it's the Champions League. Don't disrespect anybody, but it was a good group. I hadn't thought of the travelling, but that's a good point. They were reasonably local trips, wasn't they? Holland, Spain, and I can't remember what the other team was. Seville, yeah. So you know, it wasn't a long travel, so that was a good advantage as well. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy with the Champions League group. Obviously, it's going to get more interesting in the knockout stage, but we'll worry about that when we get there. I mean, Lee, what did you make of the Champions League? I mean, you know, the Ramsdale Raya situation. I mean, a lot of people spoke about it. And Ramsdale got his Champions League game in the end, which is great. At least he got one in. And I agree. I agree with Neil. I think it means he's going to be on his way out potentially in January, or if not, at the end of the season.
Yeah, I do. I mean, to answer your question about Champions League, we were solid. I mean, I was surprised against Lens away. I think the second game where we had a really strong team, didn't we? I can't remember the game we had at the weekend. I was like, why are we going full strength? Surely we could have given Saka a rest in that game. But
I think was it not Man City that we played straight after that?
I think it was. Now you mentioned it was. It was
Man City. Yeah, we had Man City afterwards. Yeah.
So I was a little surprised. We didn't. I mean, rest Saka, maybe Martinelli, but I think we went pretty much full strength in that. So that just stuck in my head. That was surprising. But yeah, overall really good. I went away to the Seville game, and we played brilliant. Only disappointment was actually rain. It never rains in Seville, but it did the night of that game. Got soaked. But we were fantastic away for that game, and yeah, it was a pretty easy ride. Fantastic result at home against PSV, wasn't it? We kind of blew them away. It's probably the best, one of the best performances all season. So yeah, I mean, the Reyes situation. I mean, for me, some of the comments about him, what was attributed to Arteta about, I can change anyone, anytime, and bring on any goalkeeper if I want. I've had that in my head to do that. That was a strange thing. I kind of think to do. I mean, having two number ones, I kind of think doesn't work. I don't think it ever does. You kind of got to have an understudy, because ultimately you're just going to have someone really disappointed. And I think the main reason, Rich, you mentioned it, we've never seen it before, and we haven't. I think the reason is because, again, I'm not one for sentimentality, but it's because we did well last season, right? And obviously people have seen Ramsdale come in, and he's been part of that journey, dare I say that word, to get us to get us close to winning the league. So it was a bit of a shock, and he is a fan's favourite. But the but is, unfortunately, you go with the best player. But I was just a bit surprised at a few of Arteta's comments. Like, we'll have again, if he said this, we're obviously going by the press. They'll battle it out for the number one spot. But then he was kind of out on his ear. He was sitting on the bench, wasn't he? He never really got a look in, which was an odd one. And there were chances to bring Ramsdale in for a few games. I mean, as I say, he could have brought him in for the Champions League, but I think you make a good point, Rich. But we were kind of under a little bit of pressure, and the problem you've got. I think it was I think it's about the third or fourth game. Raya played 3 or 4 in a row, and people were saying, okay, I can't remember whether it's Man United at home or Spurs at home. People were saying, well, bring Ramsdale in, give him a go. But the problem you've got is, once you've kind of, especially a young player, 24 years of age, I think he is. You've kind of damaged his confidence, is everything in life and in sport. So you put a massive question mark, a doubt over his head. So then, as a manager, you've got to be thinking, right? They are pretty much on a level. Yeah, I'd like to bring Ramsdale back in, but then you're thinking, but hang on a minute, he's not done anything wrong. Raya's just played the last 3 or 4 matches. You're then taking a risk, aren't you? You're bringing some, as you see in Brentford, when he came out of Brentford away, he was a bag of nerves. Everything he does is amplified. The eyes were on him, and he did have a bit of a shocker in that game, and that's the problem. So you're forced. Even someone like me, I'd think, well, I'm fair. I want to play him, but I'll be thinking, I want to win. If I bring Ramsdale in, I know he's not very happy. He's been looking at his shoes for the last month. Right, I don't want to risk it. I ain't going to play him, and that's the problem you've got. So he has created probably, if we're being fair, an unnecessary situation, because he's definitely going to leave. Yeah. He's not going to sit on the bench. He's England number 2. So yeah, odd one.
Can I? Oh, sorry to get I'm butting in. It's just one other thing that I didn't like, though. I look, listening to both of you. You're both being very pragmatic, and I agree with everything you said, actually. But one thing that I didn't like is the game that he played, and then I think he was asked by the journo or whoever it was at the end in his interview about his performance, and he completely dismissed him. And I didn't like that, because at the end of the day, Ramsdale is still an Arsenal player. He's still on the books. Yeah. And the way Arteta is normally, he backs all his players. So he could have just said, it was a good performance. But
I think to be fair, I think what he was trying to do was he was trying to deflect away from that situation about the goalkeeping. He wanted it to be about the team, didn't he? That the team played well, he sort of said, didn't he? And he didn't want to get into the goalkeeping situation.
You're right.
There's been so much noise about it.
Agreed. Okay, you're right again there. That is true. But when he was asked a similar question about Raya, he did kind of mention him from on a more intimate level.
You're right.
So if he wants to deflect away from it, why is it one rule for him and one? Look, I'm not trying to criticize. I think I know what he's trying to do.
You're right.
I think, Lee just mentioned about a young man's confidence. Well, that's going to destroy him. You know, surely he's going to watch that interview and he's going to. I think he'd look. Just to conclude from my side. I think Ramsdale didn't help himself. I don't know what the situation was with that thing that went on, one of those channels, and his father was interviewed and all that. I don't know the background of it, but I think if Ramsdale had any input on that, that was silly for him to do it. But I think another thing which he should never do was when he was interviewed by Ian Wright, and he was almost admitting that he can't concentrate for 90 minutes. That is stupid. You do not, even if that's the case, guys, you do not admit that. It's like me being at work and then being interviewed by, I don't know, someone that's come to review the company or something. Yeah. And I say to them, but you know what? To be honest, my job's at 9 to 5, but I only really work 3 hours of it. The 4 hours I can't be bothered. I can't concentrate. My boss is going to send me my P4.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
That was really stupid. So on the other side of the coin, he didn't help himself there, to be fair.
No.
I think that showed his immaturity. I think that's his immaturity, isn't it, as a person as well? You know, and it's come out a few times. His dad doesn't help because his dad's an absolute clown. Honestly, what is his dad thinking of? I mean, not just on that particular podcast that he went on, which was ridiculous. In general, you know, so the stupid hats that he wears, it's all about him. It's like, no, your son is a professional footballer playing for he's not playing for these little teams he's played for, but wearing a Bournemouth tracksuit and that when his dad. It's like, what are you doing, mate? Honestly, your son plays for Arsenal. You've got to be more classy than that. And don't give interviews about how you feel about the manager while your son is still at the club. Afterwards, once he's left, do what you want. No one cares. But while he's at Arsenal, he's representing Arsenal, and so are you as his father. You've got to be better than that. And that certainly made the situation a whole lot worse. And now, to be honest with you, I must admit, I never thought Ramsdale was a good enough goalkeeper for a team that wants to win big trophies. I didn't think he was ever good enough. He was okay, did a decent enough job, but we needed better. And he's a nice guy and everything like that. But I want him out of the club now because I just don't think he's the right fit for the club at all. I think he's too immature. I don't think his family's helping him, and he needs to move on for himself as well so he can play at the Euros this summer. He wants to be getting the squad, doesn't he? So, the whole thing was ridiculous, really. And too much was made of it, really, because players get replaced all the time, don't they? Aubameyang got replaced in the team, and no one was kicking up a fuss. What have we left Aubameyang at the team for? Do you know what I mean? Let the manager, if you trust the manager, let the manager do his job. And if you don't trust the manager, then question all his decisions, not just one that you don't like. Do you know what I mean? It's like, let the manager run the team how he wants. And if it works right, it works right. Brilliant. If it doesn't, then the manager's it's going to fall on the manager anyway. So, I don't know. I thought that was all a lot of nonsense, really. But, he hasn't.
I think that was a lot of it, Rich. I think that was a lot, as I mentioned, because we did do so well the season before. We didn't win it, but we went close. We had a great season, and he was part of it.
We did a lot of daft goals, though, didn't we? That Ramsdale was part of.
I was going to say to that. So that links to the point about he's admitting a weakness. We've all seen. We can see he's bored. You've seen him. You've seen him in the goal, wandering out of the box. I mean, the Fulham goal, he got caught, didn't he? This season, he's miles out. It's almost like, I'm bored. I want to be involved. It's like he's a bit OCD, and I think just not stay on your line. Obviously, wander to the edge of your box. I'm not going to tell him how to keep goal, but it just, after fans are watching him, I can see, but what's he doing? I've seen it with people sitting next to me. He's kind of, you see, he's not fully concentrated, and maybe, David James was famously like it when he for Liverpool, kind of easily distracted. You can't be easily distracted when you're a professional footballer. Definitely not when you're a goalkeeper.
Not if you're a goalie, no.
Fans will say, guess what? I get a bit bored, and I want to get involved. Well, we've all said he wants to get involved in the game. Look, and that's not a good quality as a goalkeeper. Again, I'm not a goalkeeper, but you got to be boring. You've just got to keep goals. Do what Pat Jennings does. Just keep shots out. Don't do it. I mean, I know the game's changed, but and he was badly at fault. And you can say how much of that, Southampton, the ball out that he gave away, and a few other mistakes that I can't recall, but it's down to just poor concentration. Some of it's down to, obviously, we play the keepers are taking chances, aren't they? I mean, Ray has done it a number of times. Then he got caught at home against City. Whether someone plays the ball into them, and then they move the ball across their body, and I'm thinking, you haven't got time to move that ball from your left foot to your right foot, because it was a City forward. It wasn't what's his name? Can't remember now. Not the big Viking, the other one. Basically, just he was that close to taking the ball off Ray's foot, and it's I suppose it's inherent in the wrist. It's the way they play now, but it does scare me to death. And you are going to get caught, but it's not. I don't think there's a lot between them. They're both decent shot stoppers, both a bit up. I'm seeing Ramsdale give City goals away from corners. I think Manu only got caught, didn't he? He fumbled it, and obviously the Luton goal with Reyes was like shocking. You can't get out jumps on the line, but if there's one team that's going to do, that's going to be Luton. But I mean, as Neil said right when we started this convo, if he brought in an unbelievable goalkeeper, there'd have been no noise, and everyone would have said, get it. But he brought on someone pretty much of the level, and there was a problem. But I think I agree with you, Rich. I think get rid in January and just move on, because he's not going to want to stay there.
No, I definitely. I mean, we've got a few comments that are coming, actually. John says there, Raya no better than Ramsdale, but Martinez better than both. Well, he is. I do think Raya is better than Ramsdale. I think Raya brings a more calmness to the defence. I think Ramsdale, because of his, maybe he was quite erratic. He didn't help the defence be settled. The defence looks more settled with Raya. I'm not saying he's necessarily a better overall goalkeeper, but he's calm. Yeah, he brings that more settled feeling to the defence. So I think he's got the edge there. And obviously Martinez is better than a pair of them. But Martinez wanted to go. So it's irrelevant now, really, isn't it? But he is better than both of them. Absolutely correct. And Martinez is the type of goalkeeper that, as we've seen, he's won a World Cup. He basically won a World Cup almost on his own in that final. That save he made at the end.
Unbelievable.
You know, he's a goalkeeper that will win you big trophies. Whether he's at the right club currently, time will tell. At Villa, are they able to go on and win big trophies? We're not sure. But if Martinez was in goal for us, you could say that, you know, he's at the right club to potentially win some big trophies. And we let him go because he didn't want to stay. But I mean, we can't really talk about Martinez anymore because he's been gone a long time, and he's, you know, we know that's a fact. Absolutely, no one's going to argue with you.
Just a quick thing, Rich. Just a quick thing. Maybe it's again, he was a big personality, right? I know we know what happened with Aubameyang, and I wasn't bothered about that. I was quite happy for him to do that, but maybe Arteta does have an issue with someone who's going to challenge him. You know what I mean? He's a young manager, and I would imagine Martinez would have challenged him. So that could have been the problem. The net result is we've lost, as you said, the better goalkeeper of the three.
I think you're right, Lee, about the personality thing. I think you're right.
Yeah.
And I just want to quickly finish by saying, I know Rich got more to say with the chat. Sorry to interrupt again, but actually, having said all of that, the last two games I've seen Raya at, including yesterday's, I know we conceded 2 goals. But I think I'm now starting to warm to him.
Yeah.
I did now.
Same.
For me, now I'm seeing for the first time the calmness and the authority in the air when he's claiming the balls. I have to say the last 2 games, I'm more comfortable with Raya now. So
I agree. I mean, I like Raya. It was never Raya's fault, all of this anyway. He was brought into the club and he was put in a team, and he's there to do his job. And overall, he's made some mistakes. Of course he has. You show me a goalkeeper that doesn't make mistakes and you won't find one. And I agree. He's settling in now better. And the last few games, you can see, you're right, Neil, that calmness is coming across now. And the whole defence looks, I know, apart from one player playing left back that's terrible, but other than that, the defence is looking a lot more settled now. Raya's in goal, and you can see now he's settled in. He understands the players more. He understands the style of football and everything else. And I think that he's going to prove to be a good goalkeeper for us. You know, whether but you know, John mentioned about will let a world-class goalkeeper go? Yes. And will Raya prove to be a world-class goalkeeper? Probably not. No, but I think he's a decent goalkeeper, and I think he'll prove to be a good signing. Is it enough? Yeah. We could say that about several signings that we've made in the last couple of years, really, let's be honest. Have we signed world-class players? Probably not. We signed good players, solid players that are, you know, very talented players. But, you know, that's maybe where we are with that. But yeah, I mean, overall then, you know, going back to the Champions League, I mean, yes, the Champions League has gone well this year. Probably the best competition out of all of them that we've been in overall, I'd say, for consistency. That one defeat, yes, that was a poor game to lose, especially as we were winning 1-0 as well. But yeah, I mean, the Champions League's gone as well as we could have hoped, really. There was a comment I saw before from Pat, who says, why is my name showing green? What's happened is there was some memberships to the channel that had been gifted, and you got selected by YouTube, selected you as a member. It's only like for a month. You've been given a membership, which you can renew if you want or not. It's up to you. But you've been given a free membership for a month. So that's why you've gone green at the moment. There's a few people got them. There was a few, I think it was 10 or 15 were gifted over the last few weeks. So you were lucky and you got one. So there you go. So that's why you're green for the time being anyway. So good to have you on board with us as a member temporarily. I'll say you might want to stay with us. Why not? So that's just wanted to clear that up so you're aware of exactly what's happening with that. And Pat Roo says, I support Ramsdale, Turner, then Raya, in my opinion. Well, I mean, you know, I don't think Matt Turner's done himself any favours at Nottingham Forest, to be fair. And you know, but he's gone there anyway, isn't he? We actually sold him, so he won't be coming back, will he? Geordie says, who you guys got this weekend? We've got Fulham on Sunday away, so not an easy game, but it's a game that, as Arsenal, we should be looking at winning. But, you know, we'll maybe have a quick look at that at the end. But, yeah, Geordie says that was a disappointing result for you guys against me. Well, yes, it was very disappointing, my friend. It was very disappointing.
Staying the obvious there.
But yeah, John says there, Lee, I don't think I'll take Cananda. Lee goes, I agree 100%.
No.
I've said this.
Yeah.
I said
No.
this 2 years ago, 3 years ago. So no,
Yeah.
I agree with that. He can't. That's why he's got a lot of young, impressionable players, I call them, and they're all very similar in personality wise, and they'll do what they're told. They won't question anything, and because they want to play. And you know, when players are coming in and thinking, oh, you know, this role doesn't suit me.
Not sure about that. No.
Yeah, maybe questioning the manager, asking him the question.
Yeah.
We know what happens to them. They don't last 5 minutes, do they? And they go.
You should be able to question it. I mean, Bobby Robson in Italian, aren't you? Right? The players turned around and said, "Right, we need to play with sweeper." And sometimes you kind of have to go with players' fault. So it's worrying. Is that also Craig? Yeah, they're out on the pitch.
Yeah, because they're there, aren't they? Yeah. So anyway, so the Champions League went well, didn't it? I suppose it has done so far. We still got a lot of work to do. So I suppose
nice
really
draw,
then,
Rich. Nice draw.
Yeah, it is a nice draw, and I'm sure we've got a chance of going through, and let's see where we are when that game comes around, sort of February, March time, and hopefully we'll be in a better place than we currently are in terms of form and injuries and stuff, and we can deal with them and get through, and who knows. Obviously, the majority of the year, as always, is taken up with the domestic league, the Premier League. And of course, this time last year, we were all sitting here thinking, "Oh, hang on a minute! You know, we're top of the league, we're flying. This is going well." And now we're here a year later, having not won the league, and in a position now where, again, I'm feeling that we're probably not going to win the league again. Now, some people might be happy with the fact that we've put in a little bit more of a challenge this year than we have done for a long time, and we're currently putting in a challenge as well. We're only 2 points off the top at the halfway point. You know, things could be better, but they could certainly be a lot worse. I mean, I say 8 defeats, though, in the 12 months. In the 41 Premier League games that we played, obviously one more to come. Should we lose that, that'd be 9 defeats in a year. And that's far too many. I mean, Neil, what have you made about it? Because obviously we started the year really well. We had a couple of little setbacks, didn't we? Losing to Man City and losing to Everton. And then we went on a good run. And then when it mattered, April time, we started falling away, making silly mistakes, crumbling. And obviously we know what happened at the end. Brighton at home, Forest away, all that stuff. And then this season we've looked, for a long time, we looked a lot more solid without being exciting. And now 1 win in 5 games. We've lost 3 of our last 12 league games. We've kind of fallen away a little bit. How would you assess it overall, though? Do you think there's been progress in the Premier League this year, or do you think it's maybe been stagnated a little bit?
So just to recap the end of the last season, I know you guys may or may not agree with me, but I feel a massive turning point was that Europa League game that we went out to on penalties, where we lost Saliba and Tomiyasu. I think that actually had a major impact. You know, you put those statistics about the goals conceded and whatnot, and I agree with you. You can't be, for last season, as well as we done, you cannot be winning a league by conceding that many goals. It doesn't matter how many you score. Teams do not win the league by conceding that many goals, so that's fine. And the table proved it at the end, so that's fair enough. But I do feel we lost stability. I know we became a little bit predictable, pretty much like yesterday's game. We did become a bit predictable, so I'm not going to deny that or say anything against that. But I do feel we lost balance and stability by losing Saliba and Tomiyasu, because I felt that a player like, if I talk about Partey just for a second, I think Partey, when he's fit and he's on song, he's one of the best midfielders in this league. I think that's my personal opinion. But he does kind of need that support behind him. And when he had Gabriel and Saliba behind him, I thought he was at his optimal. It's just my opinion. That's the way I saw it.
Right.
To lose Saliba, to lose such a massive proponent of what we were, and to have Rob Holding. I've always been respectful of Rob Holding, but bless him, that's a massive drop. That's a massive drop. Yeah. And I felt that's yes, there was that predictability issue, but I felt that was also a major part of us then falling by the wayside. I think there was a couple of games where we probably should have won and we didn't, and then obviously those 2 draws, you know, being 2-0 up against Liverpool and West Ham, being complete and utter control, and then letting it go. Things like that. That for me, that was all about not having that solid stability at the back. And look, it's proven to be the case. We lost to Man City 3 times last season, and we didn't have Saliba for 2 or 3 of those, at least for 2 of them, I think it was. This season, we started with the Community Shield. We had Saliba. and we beat them. All right, I know it was a last-minute gasp goal by Trossard, then we won on penalties, and you can't really judge anything by the Community Shield or the Charity Shield, whatever it's called. But fine, it's still a nice win over them because we haven't been very successful against Man City. And then look what happened this current season, where we didn't concede one. Man City are a goal machine. I mean, and they didn't score against us, and we managed to get a win. And that for me was a massive statement of intent. So I feel, if I compare the two, going forward and our attacking was more dynamic. It was more exciting to watch. We were scoring some lovely goals. Yeah. We had some lovely pieces of movement and all of that. This season, I think where we were lacking defensively last season, we've improved on that, but maybe fallen on the wayside on the forward part. So we've kind of got almost like a mirror image of last season, the way we started. And I felt the difference as well. I mean, we can compare it to actually up to Christmas, because both seasons we've been top. So we take the first starts of both seasons, we were so much more dynamic and pretty to watch, if you like, going forward. This season, I didn't find that. I thought we were more like stuttering. It's sort of like starting a car in the cold morning, and it's stuttering. It gets there in the end. But it's not clean, and that's how I saw it. But even having said all that, because we were defensively, I think, more in control and more dominant defensively, we still managed to be top. Not by scoring loads and loads of goals, but I think cleaning up our act a little bit defensively. Now that, of course, has all gone out the window because of the two goals that we conceded yesterday. Could have been 3, but I still feel overall that's been the difference between the two. As to how I think it's been going, I'll be honest with you guys, I don't mind the way it's gone this season, because I felt we peaked too early last season. You know me, I was so excited. I was saying that we're going to win the league right from the start. And I believed it. I did believe it, even until it was mathematically impossible. I mean, I was just going to keep my belief and my faith. Maybe I'm deluded, I don't know. But I like to be like that. I like to think we're just going to win everything. So that's just me. But I feel that I actually prefer, although we have not been as pretty to watch, I prefer this because I feel that we're not peaking, and the focus isn't so much on us. I know the media like to put it on us, but for us, I've always found, Rich, I don't know if you remember, and Lee as well, you know, we both come from ages gone by where I've always felt that we play better when we're underdogs. When the focus, when we're always favourites, we seem to collapse. But when we're actually underdogs, I feel that we perform better. Now, I'm not saying that that's how it's going to go the second half of the season. I don't know. Time will tell. But I prefer the fact that we're kind of there, but not quite there yet. Yeah. I'd rather peak towards the business end of the season, which is the last, 2.5 months, last 10 weeks.
Yeah.
So, and you were saying it, Rich, you were saying from the start. I said, I will judge it, Neil, in the last 10 weeks of the season, and you proved to be right. Yeah. So I think I prefer it this way. But we've got to overcome the instability of the last few games.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you're absolutely right. And for me, and the reason why I say it is because the pressure is a lot greater in March and April and May than it is in September, October and November. There's so much more pressure on the games because of you're at the end of the season where you can't afford to drop too many points, because if you do, you're going to probably not win the league. So, and that's where you learn about your team. Now, you may well be right this season. I agree. We haven't peaked yet. Absolutely not. Well, we may have done. I hope we haven't, because if we have, we're in trouble if we've peaked already. But you're absolutely right what you said, Neil, about tightening up at the back. And we've definitely done that. And it has taken something away from our attacking play. There's no question about that. And this is where an actual proper striker comes in handy, because it's all very well getting these goals from all over the pitch when you're playing well attacking wise, but when you're not, when you're looking to be more defensively solid, you're going to have to rely on a goal scorer to get you goals when you need them. Like last night was one example, the Aston Villa game, another example, Newcastle away, another example. You don't play well, you may be defensively okay, but you need a goal. And we don't have, that's where the striker is, that's where this whole new solid defensive kind of setup, if you like, of the team generally is falling down, because we don't have that striker. So, we remember in the Ian Wright days under George Graham, we knew we wasn't going to concede a goal, and it didn't matter because Ian Wright would pop one in.
Would scramble a goal. Yeah.
Exactly, you would. Whatever happened, you could almost say, well, Ian Wright's going to score. So it doesn't matter. We won't concede, and Ian Wright will get us a goal, 1-0 to the Arsenal, right? And now this season, it's like, we may not concede too many. We're still conceding a few silly goals, but overall, we're not conceding as many, but we don't have that goal scorer. So you look at it and you think, well, where's the goal going to come from? We may not concede too many, but if we concede one, we've got to somehow find a way to score two. And that's where the problems have been in certain, like last night, Villa, Newcastle, we concede one and we haven't got the player we're good if we're 1-0 up or we're 2-0 up. We're fine. But if we're not,
we're chasing, we're not. I don't know about you, Lee, but when I was at the game, the guy that I was sitting next to, I said to him, it's 2-0. I can't even forget a draw because I can't even see us getting the first goal. I don't know where it's coming from. The way we were playing, we just had there was nothing to demonstrate that we're going to get a goal. And you're right, we don't have that player anymore to come on. Even when when sometimes a team is playing bad, but you know that you've got that one player that can produce that one piece of magic in one moment that can turn a game around. I'm not quite sure who that is in our team to do that.
It was Trossard, wasn't it? I mean, when he first came, the first few months we had him, we were all calling for Trossard for 20 minutes to go because he sparked. He got the ball and he just turned and he was just direct. He just run straight down the centre. But I mean, for me, the biggest difference between the two seasons, this and last, is that the speed we're moving the ball. We're just not moving the ball as quick. It's just a little bit more, just a bit slower. And again, doing it last night, you're thinking, come on, get moving. Whereas last year, it was fresh, it was fast, and we kind of went for it. But I suppose naturally, these managers, it's not too difficult to work it out. You start doubling up on Saka and Martinelli, and you choke us. You're choking us off. And I've even got to the point I said to a friend of mine against Liverpool, just put Martinelli and Saka on their natural feet. Move Saka to the left, Martinelli to the right. Try it for 20 minutes. Get across it. I mean, I won't think for a minute we'll actually have someone in the 6-yard box to get on the end of a cross because, as we know, it'll just sail past like it has been doing. But maybe if they start to do that, then maybe Jesus will start gambling and getting in there. But so I just think we've kind of been worked out a little bit. B, as you said, Neil, we are same as you, Rich. We are more solid at the back. Ray has brought a calmness. Gabriel, I mean, everyone raves about Saliba because he's like he's a Rolls Royce and he's got that. He's tough. He's got the Ferdinand kind of classy movement about him, so he's eye catching. Whereas for me, Gabriel, he's 8 out of 10 week in, week out. I was thinking before we come on, when was the last time I see him make a real bad boo-boo? I can't remember, but I really can't. He's been so consistent for us, but. He's been unbelievable. I mean, we were thinking about Player of the Year, and I went to the obvious. We'll come to that, Rich. The obvious, like Saka straight away. I was thinking, what has been? So everyone's attention goes to Saliba because he's so eye-catching, but Gabriel's just quietly. He's like a bit more of an old-fashioned centre half for me. He's just no nonsense. Gets the ball, and he's brilliant. But so in terms of how we're progressing, I mean. I was slightly different from Rich. I mean, for me, we grew up, Rich, in the late 70s and the 80s, where Arsenal were always 7th. We were always 6th or 7th, right? There was always, whether it's Liverpool, Man United, Ipswich, even Southampton were above us for years. So the novelty of challenging for me, being up there, in with a shout, and I'm like, Neil, I get really excited. And as Rich knows, I was getting really excited last year. When we beat Bournemouth in the last minute, I was leaving tears in my eyes. Walking down, I was buzzing. I was thinking, I have not felt like this for such a long time. It was a bit like, Rich, between 79 and say 87, we were never a league team. And suddenly, 87, we're thinking 87, 88, we're top. We got a chance here. And then obviously we fell away in 88 and then 89, we're back up. And it was the best thing ever just to stay in the race. So I'm buzzing off. And I was talking to a chap tonight, Fred, who turns up. Meets in the pub with a few of us. He's about 67. So he's been going about 12 years longer than me, in the 70s. And I said, how do you feel, Fred? He just said, I just love being involved. I love being in the race. Right. So do you think if we fall in the way, it'll be good? No, I don't care. I want to win it. His attitude was, but being top or second and in with a shout into the new year, that's what we all want. All the other clubs are looking at us thinking, and we are getting a lot more. There's more expectation on Arsenal because we have had a good season last year and we're still up there this season. But I'm just hoping, and again, I'm going like Neil, I'm an optimist. These players are a year older, a year wiser, hopefully, and we have tightened up at the back. And leagues generally are won more from what the defence are doing than what the strikers are doing. We've fallen away badly up front, maybe because we've been worked out, maybe. Yeah, they're playing week in, week out, these players as well. So maybe there's a little bit of fatigue. I don't know. Saka's certainly not been at it as much as last year, even though overall he has been good. But it's just now we need that option. Now is the time before we get into Ivan Toney. But we do need that other option for someone else because for the defence to worry about. Because David Moyes last night would have just said, look, we don't have to worry about what's going on in the middle. We'll just cover the wingers and they'll just turn back inside. And as Rich said, they'll give it to Odegaard and they'll wait for the Ben White overlap. And then they'll still stop and start and go backwards and forwards and the cross won't come in. So we're easy to read. But with a striker to worry about, that's a disruptor. So that's suddenly they've got another headache. And then Martinelli and Saka, to be fair to them, they'll have a bit more space and time because we just expect those two to make it happen for us. And you know, they're both young lads, and I just think they're probably running out of gas to a certain extent, right? But so we do need that spark, and we are right up there. We're second, couple of points off, so we get that striker. I've got every reason to be positive. I mean, the negatives is and I like Zinni. I just think I mean, it wasn't just him, to be fair, last night. We were struggling to make a 2-yard pass. Some of the passes, we were passing, I mean, Ben White. And how many times did the ball go out of play last night? It was shocking. So, I mean, I'm again being an optimist. I'm not going to say, oh, there's a pattern here where it's going to go south. I'm thinking, no, that's one game. That was an absolute shocker. And I've got another idea for a show for you, Rich. When I was thinking, number of games that have left you with scarring over the years, the real scarers, you know.
Well, that would be a long show.
So yeah, that'll be not so much last night. It was pretty terrible, but yeah, it was pretty. I'm just glad it didn't happen on Boxing Day to kind of ruin the Christmas get together. But overall, I wouldn't say we've progressed. We've maintained a level, right, in 2 seasons, which we did at 87, 88 and 88, 89. We had a good ending. So again, maybe we're older, we're wiser, we're more experienced, and maybe that finishing touch, that striker coming in January can get us over the line. I think we've got problems at left back. Obviously, now we don't have Kieran Tierney and Zinni. I don't know what's going on with him. I just think his confidence, I'm not sure, shot to pieces. So, and we've obviously got a few injury worries. But
can I just add to that, Lee? So I'm just add to what you just said. And I again absolutely agree with everything you said. The other difference, I believe, and I'm sure everyone, maybe I'm stepping ahead of the podcast, Richard, sorry, but also the other difference is Declan Rice. I think he's been a magnificent acquisition, and he's added that stability for sure. I don't think he's done much wrong apart from obviously conceding the penalty late yesterday. But I think he's been an absolute blinding signing, and it's a good signing when and it's a big money signing, and no one's talking about the costs. So that's for me. He's been close to perfection. He's everything he does, and he's a proper leader. He reminds, Rich. Lee. I grew up in that era as well. When we were literally just a mid-table team in the 80s, and it was, I don't know if you remember the old. I've said it to Rich so many times when you used to watch BBC Sports. What was it? The Grandstand. That's it. And they'd show the table at the end of after kickoffs. Like the full time. And you'd never see Arsenal because they didn't have the money. They didn't have the budget to show the whole table. They'd only show the top half and the bottom. And you'd never see Arsenal. And I used to ask my brother, so where are we? What position are we in? I don't even know because we never saw. We had to look at the papers the next day. It was so funny. But I think Rice is big. And also, you mentioned a really good point about Gabriel and Saliba. You're right. I think Gabriel's more of an unsung hero to Saliba. Who that partnership reminds me of? It reminds me very much of Emmanuel Petit and Vieira, because Vieira and Petit, when they were playing together, they were an outstanding midfield. They completely changed the ball game. Even from Wenger bringing them in, it was unbelievable to watch. And I felt that Vieira got better with time, but he wasn't brilliant straight away. What made him good initially, I think, was Petit doing all of that stuff where because it was Vieira getting all the attention. He was very much like Saliba, if you like. But Petit was doing so much behind the scenes. They were always like mopping each other's mistakes up. And it really reminds me of that partnership, those two. So good point there, Lee.
Yeah,
definitely.
Good point.
Yeah, no, you're right, actually. I mean, Gabriel isn't really spoken about because every time our defence is mentioned, William Saliba is the first one that people mention. He was injured last season. It cost us, and that's all people focus on. But you're absolutely right. Gabriel plays every single game. He's the one, whatever competition it is, he's not one that's ever rested and rotated, even in the Carabao Cup and even in the Champions League group games when it's all decided. He's the one that plays every game, isn't he, Gabriel? And you're right. He's got that old style defender about him, hasn't he? He'll defend at all costs. You know what I mean?
Uncompromising.
I mean, he has made mistakes in the past, and I think he was a bit younger and he's matured. He's another player that showed maturity. We spoke before about a certain player that maybe hadn't shown maturity, but Gabriel has done, hasn't he? Over the last year or so in particular, he has cut out their mistakes. He is a lot more focused.
Yeah, he has.
You can see that he's really grown into that role in the team now, and you're right in actually. That's a good comparison. Actually, I've never really thought because obviously being midfield players and they're defenders, but you're kind of right. They complement each other so well, don't they?
Perfect,
whether it's a left footer and a right footer as well. I kind of like that in a like Vieira and Petit were as well, wasn't they? So that kind of worked there. And I think you're right. Actually, I mean that's a pretty good comparison. I've never thought of that before, but the more I think about it now, I think you're right. They do.
Rich, it's a tough fist in a silk glove. That's what it is. There's another one for it. That's what it is. It's the same as Vieira and Petit. Although both skippers of the cat, think about it, Vieira and Petit were equally tough. Vieira could do both. He was tough and classy. I think Saliba
and Gabriel can, because Saliba is tough as well, isn't he? He's a strong guy, isn't he? You can't push him off the ball. You don't get round him. Although he's a little bit more cultured on the ball, I mean, Gabriel's not the best with the ball at his feet. Let's be honest. He's not the most cultured footballer, whereas Saliba is. But they absolutely complement each other. They're perfect. They're almost a perfect defensive partnership, aren't they? I think maybe just in the air sometimes, we've conceded a few goals from crosses into the box. They're maybe not, either of them aren't quite as. I'd prefer one of them to be more dominant in the air and attack that ball more and win more headers.
Like last night.
I'd like to see one of them do that. One of them needs to maybe take a little bit more responsibility there. But other than that, you're absolutely right. It probably is the best central defensive partnership in the Premier League. Now it's developed into that, hasn't it? And you're right. You win trophies from being solid defensively. Absolutely, you do. And you don't win the league by conceding 45 goals, whatever we conceded last season. No chance.
Exactly.
And this season we're going to concede. This season, we're probably going to concede the right number of goals to be considered to be champions. It's just, are we going to score enough goals at the other end at the crucial moments to get enough points to win those?
Can't we just combine last season and this season and we'll be champions?
But it's that balance that's right, isn't it? If you get that balance right, you're Man City. That's what you're
laughing.
Rich,
we're not Man City, have you got? Rich, have you got the stat? How many goals we conceded so far? What's the projection? So we're on about we're on 18 games, aren't we?
How many goals season we played 9. So let me look actually. So this season 19. In the Premier League, where are we? We conceded something like 12 or 13 or something, isn't it? It's not many. I think it's 13 now because we conceded 2 last night. So we certainly, I mean, I think Liverpool now have got the best defensive record. Us and Liverpool were equal going into Boxing Day games. But obviously we conceded 2 and Liverpool only. Did Liverpool play Boxing Day? I know they won. They didn't concede any, did they? So Liverpool have gotten a better record, but I think we've conceded 13 in 19 games, which is good. It's enough. That's if we continue that, that's what 26 goals for a season conceded, which is up there with the best we've ever done.
Yeah, which is fantastic. I mean, what was it? 18, I think, 1991. When I think we lost. One game at Chelsea, didn't we? We were unbelievable. That's standout. Liverpool
let in 26. The Invincibles let in 26, so we'd be on par with the Invincibles if we kept this up. Again, whether we will or not, because the pressure's more in the second half of the season. Look at the away games we've still got to play. We've had most of the more difficult teams at home. We've been to Anfield now. We still got to go Old Trafford. We've got to go to the Etihad. We've got to go to Tottenham. We've got to go to Brighton, which is a difficult away game now. So we've got some tough games. But anyway, you play who you have to play. We've played everybody once, so we've got to play the same teams again, I suppose. So potentially we can. But no, you're right. We just need to sort out getting that balance right between being solid defensively and getting the goals it's not so much scoring goals. I don't think, we can score 5 against Sheffield United. We can score 4 against Brentford or Brighton or Bournemouth, wherever it is. But in those games like last night, when you're losing 1-0, you need a goal. That's what worries me still about this team at this moment in time, going forward into the second half of the season. But we'll have to see.
Yeah.
But overall, I just feel in 2023, I just feel as though in the Premier League, we haven't really progressed in total for where, this time last year, I think we all thought we had a great chance. Of course, we had a great chance of winning the league, the position that we were in, 50 points at the halfway stage. I mean, and that didn't happen. And this season, we've looked more solid, but we've still got issues that aren't, to me, I can't sit here now and be confident to say that I feel as though when the pressure's on in April time, again, like it was last year, I still don't see enough that shows me that we've fixed those problems enough to be able to say, well, Man City are going to go on a run. They're bound to. They've been terrible. They're bound to go on a run. Liverpool look a lot more solid this season. They're not going to lose too many. They've lost 1 game in the league. That's it. They're not going to lose too many, probably. Yeah. So we're going to have to, when it gets to April, we're going to have to win most of those games. And it just worries me still that those issues that we suffered last season, defensively, we've sorted them out. But overall, the mentality of those games, can we deal with that? I thought I was positive after we played Liverpool because I thought we showed a decent mentality at Liverpool. But
we did.
We're not, and then we fall into the West Ham game straight after, and it goes out the window. That kind of worries me. That when the pressure's on, you've got to do that 3, 4, 5, 6 games in a row.
You're right, Rich. You're right, because basically, despite me and Neil, you can't help who you are. Right, we're both optimists, and we want it to go well, but you can't really argue because when you're saying we got these difficult away games, and are we going to crack a game? Well, me and Neil can say, well, I hope we don't. Hope we'll be all right. But I think I mentioned on the last podcast, Rich, we still haven't had that standout away performance, have we? Well, we've gone away like Old Trafford in '98, and we've beat Man United away or Liverpool away. We beat Spurs, but I'm not really classing Spurs. I mean, I'm talking about the northern grounds, the tough Liverpool, Man United away.
You're right.
City away. We're still waiting 2 seasons. We're still waiting for that standout. That real Arsenal performance where we go away, we're gritty, we nick it 1-0 or 2-1. That's the sign. That's when you start thinking we're going to win the league. And as much as I left that stadium against Bournemouth for Tiermaier, thinking we're going to do it, it was Bournemouth at home, and we were 2-0 down. Right, so fair play, tick. But until we start doing those kind of those performances you remember for 20, 30 years, right? Then we ain't winning the league, are we? Unless we do that. So me and Neil can be as optimistic as we like, Rich, but you've got the facts at the moment in your favour, saying we're still waiting.
The only positive though is
I hope you're right.
But guys, we do have. I think we might have some key players returning from injury potentially. I mean, I don't know what the situation is. Partey, Timber might come back earlier than everyone expected. For me, I love that, but I don't want him to be rushed back and then he has another relapse. That's what we don't want. So I'm sure they'll manage him properly. But that's another good advantage. Tomiyasu might be back. If we can get some of these key players back in, we can start rotating without dropping levels too much. Maybe. The other thing is, you're right about City. City tend to always do better in the second half of the season. So that's not a good thing. Plus, they've got players like De Bruyne coming back, which is another negative for us. But we can only do what we can do. Everyone. We can't look at other teams and worry about what they're doing. No. We can only do what we can do. And again, Lee, you're right. We need to go and make a statement away. A big club. Yeah. All right. We've crossed one hurdle this season by beating Man City finally. And then obviously we had a good performance. To be honest, even last season, it was one of the best performances against Liverpool until Xhaka and Trent debacle, and then the crowd, the crowd. So
the thing, Daniel, is we've got to be able to deal with those situations.
We do. I'm not making an excuse for that.
That's the issue, isn't it?
Yeah. No. I wasn't making an excuse. I'm just saying up to that point, we were in control. I thought it was one of the best performances at Anfield for a long time that I'd seen up to that point. And we've done all right this season. But I'd like to. You're right, Lee. I'd like to go to even at the Etihad and get a win. That would be amazing. How amazing would that be? It would just brilliant to see. So you're right.
The belief from that would be incredible. And so we're halfway there.
You see things like the other week. Crystal Palace were 2-0 down at Man City, came back and got a 2-2 draw. I can't see us ever doing that. And that's Crystal Palace. Tottenham were behind at the Etihad. They got a 3-3 draw there the other week. And I want to believe that we can go to the Etihad when we play them away, and if we go 1-0 down or even 2-0 down, that we can still come back. But I just don't see that in this team. I just don't see it.
The mentality.
Brentford won their last season, when, it was in the first half of the season when Man City aren't as strong, but they went there and won. Crystal Palace have got results at the Etihad quite a few times. Tottenham get one every year near enough at the Etihad. They always seem to pull it out of the bag, and then you get teams like go to Old Trafford. Bournemouth went to Old Trafford and won 3-0. There's absolutely no chance we're going to Old Trafford and winning 3-0, no matter how bad Man United are. It just won't happen. We just don't do that. We do not do that, no matter how well we're playing and how crap they're playing.
But we can train him, I believe.
You know what I mean? It just doesn't happen, does it? And you're right. If we could do that, if we go to Old Trafford and do that, if we go to the Etihad and pull out a result, then I would end. That's obviously then you think, right, okay, that's the difference. That is the difference there, and that might be at the end of the season we'll see that. But until we do that, I'm going to still believe that as well as good a team as we are, and as well as we can play, I still don't believe we've got enough about us to win the league based on exactly that point until we show that we have changed that. Because this has been going on for years. It's not just now and last year, the year before. When was it? We've won. I think we've won. We haven't won away at the Etihad since 2015. We haven't won away at Anfield since 2012. We've won once away at Tottenham since 2004. Twice away at Tottenham since 2011 or something. We just. These are the games. Old Trafford we've won once at since 2006. Do you know what I mean? And this isn't a new thing. This goes on year after year after year after year. And we need to. You're right. We need to put that right. We need to put some statement away wins out there and say, you look at the '89 team. We went to Anfield and won. '91 we went to Anfield and won. We got those results on a regular basis, and that's why we.
Yeah, it's no coincidence, is it? No coincidence to win the league. Exactly, because it just sends out a statement and it gives the team belief that you're going to go over the line.
I mean, you look at I'm just looking at our last recent away results. Right, we lost at West Ham in the Cup, Carabao Cup. We lost at Newcastle. We beat Brentford with a last gasp goal in the last minute. That would have been a 0-0 draw. We beat Luton with a goal in the 98th minute or whatever it was. We were lucky to win that. That easily should have been a draw. We lost at Aston Villa. We drew at Eindhoven. We drew at Liverpool. So our away form's terrible, really. We've got we've scraped 2 wins in the last minute against Luton and Brentford, and Luton are in the bottom 3. Brentford haven't won a game for months. You know what I mean? And the other games that we played away, we haven't won. And we need to put that right. And we've got to do it quickly because we're halfway through the season. We've got to start winning a lot more of these away games in a little bit more convincingly than scraping a 4-3 at Luton. I mean, I know Luton are a difficult team to play, but come on. Do you know what I mean? We can't be doing that, really. If it wasn't for that win at Luton, that would have been 1-2, that would have been 4 away games in a row without a win. And we were so close to dropping points there as well, wasn't we? So there's still a few questions for me that have not still been answered a year, 2 years down the line into this kind of spell where we're challenging again. But there's still these questions that need answering for me. Until I start believing that we can actually do it. I'd like to think we can. I hope we can, and I hope you guys are right and your optimism pays off. I really do. I really hope it does. But I've still got these doubts based on all of these things that seem to keep happening year after year, and there's nothing to show me any different. And last night hasn't helped, obviously, because that was a terrible performance. That took us back 2 years, really. But yeah, I hope you guys are right. I really do. But we'll see. I mean, there's still half a season to play, so let's not get too down in the dumps. We're in a good position. We're up there challenging, and let's hope that this year, when it comes to the crunch, it doesn't matter if we lose away at the Etihad, if we lose away at Old Trafford. If we win the other games in April and May, and we win every other game, it'll probably be enough, won't it?
Draws will do it, Rich. Won't it? I mean, draws will do. Yeah, you'd write down draw away at Liverpool, draw against City United. You'd like to beat Spurs, obviously, but that would be enough because the league's won against these games like last night, really.
It's lost in them games, It's not necessarily won, but it's lost there, isn't it?
Sorry,
last season, Southampton at home, we lost the league there, by not winning that game. We didn't lose it. We didn't not win it there. You know what I mean? We lost it there, didn't we? That was the game. If we'd beaten Southampton, we wouldn't have won the league. But the fact we didn't beat them contributed massively to us not winning it, didn't it? And you're right, those games last night, games you should take them for granted. At home games, you should win your home games, draw away. That's how you be successful overall, isn't it? If you do that, you're going to not be far away. And you're right, drawing away at Man City, drawing away at Man United. If we win our home games, we've beaten Man United and Man City at home. If we can beat Liverpool at home, got to draw away, draw them away. That's probably going to be enough, isn't it?
It comes down to maths, isn't it? It comes down to maths. You draw away, you win at home against these top teams. You should be winning the league. You knock over the smaller, or most of the smaller teams. But so fingers crossed. I mean, it was your monologue was a bit depressing, and I was trying to think of anything inaccurate in what you were saying, but I can't. And that's maybe obviously different viewpoint. That's why it's good to have both viewpoints, because you naturally, if you are a more optimistic person, you'll naturally try and ignore, even after all these years of watching Arsenal, I'll naturally try and think, well, okay, that was just a one-off. I know.
I just don't like.
Fulham, we know, and it's all going to be good.
Lee, mate, it's as much as Rich is look, I said he's pragmatic. So as are you, Lee, and I've agreed with the way you then say just now, just what you just said a minute ago, Rich. It makes sense, total sense. But Lee, listen, we're still winning the treble this season.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the same. I'm with you. I still think we can go deep into the Champions League despite our frailties. Our frailties are joking apart. I'm going to stop myself getting to. We still need now to fix the left back problem. We can't continue the way we're going at left back. So maybe Kior can come in and he'd feel a lot more secure. And Arteta, as Rich mentioned, would have to forget that the defender stepping into midfield malarkey and just go. But I mean, the other player, it's amazing we got nearly an hour in without mentioning Declan Rice. So the other player you mentioned, who was arguably one of the best players for 70% of last season when he was, Partey. He was unbelievable. He was fantastic. We have missed him, and getting him back. I mean, him going to the AFCON, people are moaning, well, he's not been fit. Get him out there, get him playing an hour, 70 minutes, and he comes back end of January, start Feb. We've got an unbelievable midfield. So hopefully that'll be a factor, the party factor. But I remain, unlike Rich, I'm more with you. I'll remain optimistic. We can fix these issues and. Timber looked good, and that was a real shame. We get some of these players back, and crucially, the signing, right, the striker. We get Tony. I don't think he's the greatest thing since sliced bread, but he's better than what we got, and he's a natural finisher. He will get in. He will get the horrible goals. How many horrible goals?
I'll take horrible goals all day long, Lee. I'll take horrible goals all day long. I don't care as long as we get the points.
Exactly.
We've had enough. We've had enough of, and we've been spoiled with pretty goals. And don't get me wrong, they're amazing to watch. The Jack Wilshere team goal, Giroud's scorpion kick. We've had all of that. We've done it. But for me, I don't mind winning dirty. I don't mind it because at the end of the day, winning the Premiership, getting our name back there. I mean, I know all of us as fans want us to see us lift the elite European trophy. We've never done it. We've never done it in the old division. We've never done it. We want to do it. But for me, still, the Premiership is consistency. It's consistency.
Yeah.
We need to get that under our belt. And I'd like to see us go far in the Champions League. There's no reason why we can't. But it's the league. And I don't care if we win it dirty. We just got to get those goals.
Yeah.
And Tony did score home and away against Man City last season as well for Brentford, so he knows how to score against them, doesn't he?
He's decent. He's definitely a massive upgrade on Eddie, isn't he? He just is.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% is, and that's what we need. But whether we'll do it or not, time will tell, because it's nearly January, so we're going to find out soon. When the window opens, who we're going to buy. Right, before we finish, we just need to rattle through a few little awards, end of season or end of year awards. Sorry, not end of season awards, end of year awards. Best and a couple of bad ones, but we'll start with this one because I don't know what you guys are going to vote for on this. So the match of the year, our favourite match or best match, a match we enjoyed the most, whatever it might be. Neil, what would be your best match of the year for you in 2023?
I'll go to Lee first.
Okay, Lee, then go on then, Lee.
Okay, first, I'll be quick, Rick. I know we're rubbing too much, but naturally I always go to Tottenham at home, and where we. Sorry, no, it was the away, but we won away at home the year before, didn't we? The away match where we won was always fantastic. But you're asking me the best match, as in entertainment, was probably Man United in January, 3-2. Eddie got the last touch. That was a good game. I mean, Rashford got the first goal, didn't he? We had the fumble from the corner. for their equaliser, and when we won the game in the last minute. That was brilliant, buzzing. So that for me, that's the best match.
Good
it
shout.
Was a great game.
I like it.
It's a great choice. That absolutely,
Yeah.
it wasn't. You're right, actually. And at the time, of course, we were flying at the top of the table as well. So, right, Neil, what would you say would be your best?
I mean, there were some great entertaining games, but for me, because of the statement, because it was such a long time coming, I'll go for the win against Man City. That drove so much emotion through me when when Havertz actually persisted, because obviously there was this big thing about Havertz. By the way, just a quick one. I know, Lee, we've got to hurry along, but I think he's coming on a lot better now in the last few games. And actually, I didn't think we would miss him against West Ham. I think we did miss him yesterday. I really believe he may have made a bit of a difference. But anyway, that's another story. I think the Man City game, because it's been so long in the teeth to get anything out of them, and then to actually beat them at the very late on in the game. Yes, that was the one for me.
Good shout, Neil. Good shout.
That was. I mean, those two games were fantastic. I mean, for me, the one I would pick would probably be the PSV home game, because our first game back in the Champions League for 7 years, we beat a team 4-0 that had won every single match up till that point in the season, and we absolutely wiped the floor with them. Yeah, and to return to the Champions League like that was quite incredible, really. So, I mean, those other two games were great as well. But for me, just a statement that was, Champions League, and it wasn't against a team that were from, the other back and beyond. They were, their league won every single match, and
we blew them away, didn't we?
Yeah, we blew them away. Yeah. So for me, that was probably my best performance from us out of the year. So I'll go with that, really. I think this one might be a little bit easier to everybody to agree on. Potentially, we've sort of mentioned it a little bit before already. So the moment of the year, obviously the picture there was obviously Reece's goal against Bournemouth. I mean, Neil, would that be your moment of the year, or is anything maybe top that for you?
I think, that probably does do it for me, because like Lee, I felt that was fate, and we're gonna win the league. I really, and I was saying it right from the start, but that really cemented it for me. I thought, surely everything is going in our favour. And I love the way Reece didn't even rush it. He took his time and then directed the ball in. It was a great goal, by the way. But it was also the emotions. I was going to be at that game and I didn't go, and I regretted it.
No.
But a few people that I know went, and they said they have never. The stadium has been rocking over the last, say 2.5 years. Yeah. But that was exceptional. They said that was just on ridiculous levels. And just seeing everyone's faces light up, the smiles around the stadium, everyone just going mental and berserk. Oh, mate, that was brilliant. But I have to say, and I know it was almost like, you're right, Rich. It was ridiculous the way we allowed Luton to score 3 goals against us. But close to it, the same emotion, Declan Rice scoring the winner against Luton was also quite up there as well for me. Yeah. I thought, you're right. And let me just say this. Luton are Luton, but going to Luton and getting a result there is not easy. I think a lot of big teams are going to struggle there. Yeah. So we did, on reflection, we didn't do too bad. Well. But that Declan Rice goal kind of reminded me of Reiss Nelson's, but I'll say Reiss Nelson, for that one.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I suppose the Rice goal was very similar, actually. And, you're right. I mean, no game's easy, especially away from home. Luton is a tricky place to go, and it could prove to be a big victory there, actually. I mean, Lee, what would be your moment of the year then? Would it be Reiss Nelson's goal?
Yeah, I mean, I want to be different, Rich, but I can't be because of just the emotion of it. I was in the stadium and I was like I always am. I'm holding people next to me, grabbing them every time we get close to scoring, and they're going, "Who's this nut? Calm down." And when that goal went in, it was just the stadium shook. It shook, and as I said, I walked. Remember, we left. The whistle went. I was walking down the steps, and I literally had tears in my eyes. Walked across Holloway Road, and I was meeting a few mates, having a quick pint after, and I could barely speak. I was just the emotion of being there and thinking, I've not felt like this for so long, and I can feel it now. Similar to when me and Richard was talking 89. When I talk about 89 or something comes on the telly, I get the same feeling. Right, two very vastly different things, winning the league, but I will never forget that game. And I got a ticket that day off of my mate Fred, who's older than me, the chap I was mentioning, 65. He was ill, he had the flu, he couldn't go. So he was devastated that he missed it. But it was, it was that for me, that's head and shoulders, because it was the moment I thought it's going to happen. It's going to really I was buzzing for weeks.
And I think that was the point, wasn't it? And I think, you know, the fact that we'd been 2-0 down. I mean, Reece is obviously a hailing boy as well to get that goal, and the emotion they brought. And I agree. I think most people believed it was our time. You know, we played so badly most of that game, and to come away with that victory, it's like, wow, as Neil said, it felt like it was our time. It felt like it was all happening, and there was nothing that was going to stop us. And it's a shame it didn't. That wasn't how it worked out. But certainly for a one-off moment, I don't think much can beat that.
We nearly did it, Rich, just very quickly. We nearly did it against Southampton. I remember we come back against Southampton. I think Odegaard or someone in the last minute hit the bar, or I think it might have been Trossard. We come close.
Yeah, Trossard. I think it was Trossard.
Yeah, we come that close to winning that 4-3. That could have been the game.
Oh man.
Yeah, well, no, that was. I mean, but. That was it for me. That's the moment of the year. You know, I'd say, maybe Declan Rice deserves a mention for that Luton goal, because that was, you know, a similar kind of dramatic final kick of the game kind of winner. But we'll move on to one that's maybe, you know, we sort of mentioned there for me, but we'll see what you guys think. What do we make of this one? So the biggest disappointment of the year, then, a few maybe that we've got to choose from in the end, I suppose. But I mean, Neil, what would be your biggest disappointment of the year?
I think if we had taken the game to the last game of the season and lost the league, it would have been that by a mile. That would be the disappointment, because we kind of lost pace earlier on. I can't say losing the league is the disappointment, because it was kind of already there and done and dusted before the last game of the season. Oh my God! Do you know what? I'm struggling with this one. Can you come back to me? Let me see what Lee says.
We'll come back. No worries. Lee, what would be your biggest disappointment? I mean, whether it was a one-off game or a particular moment, or what would you say?
Yeah, for me, cheers, Neil. I mean, for me, there's a standout moment, absolute nailed on. The moment the league probably went for me was when Thomas Partey tried to flick the ball over I can't remember what West. It might have been Declan Rice, actually. It was Declan Rice. He tried to flick the ball over Rice and lost it, and West Ham scored. And that stayed. So we went from 2-0 to 2-1, and I thought, whoa, because we had chances to get a third in that game. We tore out the traps against West Ham, and we could have been 3 or 4 up. We were 2-0 up, and the minute he tried to lift, I thought, don't try and lift the ball where he lifted it over, Vieira style, over his head. And Rice took it off him. They scored, and I thought, and we'd drawn the week before, and then I was thinking the wheels are going to come off, and they did. And I was thinking, that could be us. That could be a fatal blow. So for me, Thomas Partey trying to lift the ball out in the totally wrong place.
Love it. Yeah, I've got two then. Two which are on par, and we've mentioned them earlier. I think the losses at Anfield, or the drop points at Anfield. I think we had enough in both situations to actually win the games. Yeah. And the fact that we haven't done it, and we haven't done it since 2012, really hurts.
Yeah.
And I think for me, that is the kicker. We should do better. We should be able to, if we take control of a game, we should be able to go and kill a game. And that is where sometimes we're lacking.
Yeah,
so that's it for me.
That's what we are missing.
Yeah. Mark C says, we should have been 3-1 up at West Ham and missed the penalty. Yeah, the penalty missed. Saka was a big moment, wasn't it, as well? That was a big moment in the season. So he says his disappointment's Arteta not resigning. I don't think that's going to happen, mate, is it? Unfortunately, but no. I mean, I have a picture on the thing there of the game against Southampton. And to me, that was my biggest disappointment, because we'd just thrown away leads at Liverpool and West Ham where we should have won those games. What we had to do then was beat Southampton. We had no other option. We had to beat them. They were bottom of the league. And, we ended up... you're saying we came close to coming back and winning that game, but we shouldn't have been in that position. They were bottom of the league. Again, we had to win. We were 3-1 down in the 90th minute in that game. Yes, we ended up scoring twice, getting a draw and nearly winning it, but... to me, that was, I don't know, that to me was a biggest disappointment, because that was a game we had to win, and we were so poor for so long in that game. And Southampton were terrible, absolutely terrible all season. And that made me, I knew then that night we wasn't winning the league. I knew for certain, it was 100% convinced then we wasn't winning the league no matter what happened. We wasn't going to do it. We wasn't ready. You could see that night we wasn't ready. And so that was a disappointment, because up until then, I still believed it was possible. And then that happened, and obviously we knew then it wasn't possible, and that was that. But we'll have another, maybe a bad one before we finish on a better one. Who would we give this award? I know who my vote will be, but let's see what you guys think.
I know your vote's going to be, Rich.
Flop of the
Richard,
year.
I'm supposed to
Don't let my pick there influence
stuff,
anybody at all.
Picture of the guy there. You're not supposed to influence by doing that, mate.
The picture will give it away a little bit. But Neil, who would be your flop of the year?
Oh, that's hilarious. Sorry, I'm still laughing. What Terry said was funny as well. That was hilarious.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, I'm flop.
It's a hard one, isn't it?
I agree. I think end of the day, it's not actually all his fault. He should not be playing as a defender. It's as simple as that. He's not a left back. I don't understand why people seem to think that he can do it. He's done it in moments, and moments is not good enough in this level of competition. You've got to do it consistently. Remember the old school left backs we've had. Come on. So no, yeah, I agree with that one. It's unfortunately and sadly, I hate getting on players' backs.
No,
not his fault. He's played out of position for me. It is Zinchenko. Yeah, I agree.
Okay, Lee. Anyone different?
I naturally hate slagging any Arsenal players, but if you can easily say I love Zinny. I love a footballer, and I love the idea of a left back can step into midfield and overload the midfield. It's Terry Venables-esque, right? And it has worked in many games, but unfortunately, you're going to come unstuck from time to time, and the wheels are massively coming off. But I'm going to try and be different, and I'm going to say Emile Smith-Rowe, and people are going to go, "What are you talking about? He's not getting a chance, right?" But I love him. I love him as a footballer. 4 years ago, he was up there above Saka to be the next greatest thing. But when he comes on, he just looks like he's lost his. I mean, probably because of injuries. And again, making it clear, I love him. I'm desperate for him to do well. I loved him 4 years ago, and I still love him now. And he's Arsenal through and through. But when he's come on, he just looks like he's carrying like bricks in his boots. He seems to have lost his pace. And he just doesn't look confident. And I know what it is. It's to do with the fact Arteta's not. So I'm half group banging Arteta in with him, with Smith-Rowe for this award, because he's not getting the time on the pitch. And as any player would say, he's no good getting 10, 15 when you haven't played. So he comes on like, come on, go for it, Emile, go for it. And when he's come on, I've just not seen anything. And it's and again, I don't think it's down to him. So maybe I shouldn't really be calling him flop of the year, but I had to pick someone, and I wanted to be different. So I've gone for Emile with one of my favourites.
But Lee also, I think again, I think that's a good shout. And as I'm like you, I love the guy so much. Honestly, I love the guy so much, and I actually thought he was going to be better than Saka, and that's making a massive statement. I thought he's talent-wise, I think he's better, to be fair. And I think, but also it doesn't help the fact that when he does come on, we're losing a game. And the expectation is higher. You know, I don't think he's getting a fair share.
No, he's not. He's not. He definitely he needs game time. But Arteta is just not. He's too rigid. I mean, for me, I'm pretty sure he was fit. Lens away for me was a game for him, and he just coming on with 20 minutes. It's just, as a footballer, the pressure's on straight away. You've got to start games. And he started Brentford away, didn't he? And I'm so willing him to do well. I think he nearly scored against Brentford, so. I just can see him going. I can see him going, if not January in the summer. And it's so disappointing because he showed flashes for us. We've got a real player on our hands here. So managers are not helping. His unwillingness to be a bit, to throw him in. But I can see why he does in the game, because he's just too scared to. He's just sticking to that formula now. And I think to our detriment, we're too predictable.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little bit harsh to maybe call Emile Smith-Rowe a flop because it's not his fault, is it? He's not been given a chance. Right. He hasn't pushed on as much as we all thought he was going to, and we hoped he would, and we expected him to. And that's partly down to his injuries. It's partly down to the fact he's not getting picked. So, but he's obviously been a big disappointment, hasn't he? The way he's dropped down the pecking order, really, and the few minutes he gets on the pitch is nowhere near enough.
Nowhere near enough.
I think he will end up leaving. I think he will end up leaving.
He will.
But I think as a flop, it's got to be Zinchenko. Surely it's got to be because we actually paid money for him. We actually paid money for this guy. Can you believe that we actually bought him? I mean, what I don't understand, right? I don't know what you guys think. You've got this inverted left back situation, which Arteta wants to do, right? And that's fine. You said it, Lee, and it can work, and it kind of can be a good it can be a good system to play. Now with Zinchenko, he's very good at moving into the midfield role and doing that job. So he can do half of the job. He can't defend as a left back, but he's good at moving into midfield, right? Now we had Kieran Tierney, who was brilliant at the defensive side of it, but couldn't really get the hang of moving into midfield and playing there. So he had half the job as well. And what does he do? He gets rid of the one who can defend and keeps the one who can't defend. It makes no sense. I would have kept Kieran Tierney, who can at least defend, and you can go, okay, we can maybe adapt the system, maybe have an inverted right back instead of a left.
Yeah.
Kieran Tierney is a better defensive left back.
Yeah.
And he's put a left back in who's better in midfield and can't play left back, can't defend. And I don't blame Zinchenko necessarily for that. That's not his fault. He can't play that position. He's not a defensive left back.
No,
he should be able to play midfield like he does for Ukraine, where he scores loads of goals. Or, he was a bench player at Man City for that reason, because Pep wanted him to play that kind of a position, and he couldn't because he's not good enough defensively. So Pep left him on the bench, and he played if Peter injured. And for some reason, Arteta plays him in every single game near enough. And I don't know why. I just can't understand it. And it's not necessarily Zinchenko's fault. And I'm not necessarily blaming him. No. It's the system, the job he's being asked to do. Half of it he's not comfortable doing. In the same way that Kieran Tierney wasn't. And yet Kieran Tierney's got kicked out of the club almost for not being able to do half of the job. And Zinchenko can only do half of the job as well. And he's still here getting picked every week. I can't get around it. I cannot get rid. You either keep both of them so you can switch it round. Or you get rid of both of them and get someone who can do that role better, who can play both those positions. I don't know who there is out there that can do that. There must be somebody. But I don't know. But sorry, Zinchenko. It's not your fault necessarily, but it's not working out. You're costing us too many important goals, and you're going to win that ball. I think this next one might be quite easy, so I don't think we'll have any discussion or debate about it. Or we should have.
On to the next one.
Is there anybody else? Signing of the year. We've signed 7 players, I think 6 or 7 players in January and in the summer. For me, it's got to be Declan all day long because he's been fantastic. I mean, Neil, anybody else out of the signings that we've made? I know Timber's been injured, so we can't really judge him.
Yeah, I actually believe, I actually said it. I remember I said it to, I don't know who it was, whether it was another podcast, it was just general chit chat. When we made the signings, and this is before, Rare's not an official signing anyway, but between Timber, Kai and Declan Rice, if Timber hadn't got injured, I think he could have been up there because I think he looks like a sensational player.
He does.
But without doubt, that's sad for Timber and it's unfortunate, but without doubt, God, Rice, it's just night and day. Yeah. It's unbelievable. Yeah. Unbelievable. Yeah. We've shortchanged West Ham. We owe them money.
We do. 50 million.
Yeah, we probably do. I mean, Lee, any different, or would you go along with that?
Yeah, I'm going to say it's got kind of obvious, Rich, and the game in Seville for me, like being there, seeing him, whether it was a smaller, I can't remember whether the pitch was smaller. He just looked running from deep with the ball. That one of the goals, he just carried the ball, didn't he, through the middle? Yeah, he's just a monster. I just didn't see it when he was West Ham. He just looked like a decent stopper to me. More like, what's his name? He reminds me of that Matthias Sammer who used to play for Germany. That kind of that leggy kind of midfield player. But he's just unbelievable and. It's cheap at half the price. He stays for 10 years. It's 10 million a year, right? It's an absolute bargain. Steal of the century. It's an easy one.
I want him to be captain, guys. I do want him to become captain.
I do.
And he's got that loyalty thing about him because he stayed with West Ham a long time. I think if he stayed with us and we're successful, hopefully, sooner rather than later, I think he could stay for a long time.
Yeah. Hopefully, fingers crossed. As you say, we need to be successful to keep that type of player.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, he should be.
I mean, Mark C says, cast iron Rice is the best side. Yeah, I don't think there's much question about that. Terry obviously mentions Havertz as we knew he would. Who else could have fitted on the left? Amazing. Zinchenko looked good.
I'm not sure about that. I'm sure about that, Terry.
But no, I mean, obviously, Declan Rice. Yeah, I mean, I was at Newcastle game away, and although we were absolutely dreadful, the one thing that stood head and shoulders above everything else was our brilliant Declan Rice is, even when the team doesn't play well. And that, to me, is a mark of a great player. That's my problem with Martin Ødegaard. When the team plays well, he looks brilliant. When the team doesn't play well, you don't really see much of him. Declan Rice, even when the team doesn't play well, he's still head and shoulders above everybody else on the pitch. I think he's our best midfield player since Patrick Vieira. And I think he's that important to the team now. And if we go on and have any sort of success that we did with Patrick Vieira, it'll, like you said, it'll be a bargain. 105 million. I know it doesn't seem. At the time, I remember thinking, you don't pay 105 million for anybody other than a 25, 30 goal striker. That's all you pay that for. But now I'm thinking, actually, no, we've paid 105 million for him, and he's cheap. He is cheap. And
He's cheap at half the price.
Guys, Rich, you know who my favourite player of all time is. I Lee, you might know as well. Tony Adams is my favourite player, Arsenal player of all time. And do you know what? There are so many similarities that I can see between him and Declan Rice. I love the guy. I've already loved the guy so much.
Yeah, I do,
Magic.
He's become my favourite player in like 3-4 months, whatever it is. He's been at the club. He's easily my favourite player.
It's brilliant.
Just every single time you watch him play, it's like, does he ever do it? I mean, yes, he gave away the penalty last night, but I think he did that. We'd lost the game anyway. He thought, oh, well, I'll give West Ham something at the end of the game. That's all it was. But he never does it. He doesn't make a mistake. He's just brilliant at everything he does. Running with the ball, his passing, his interceptions, the way he reads the game, he can tackle. You know, he's got one booking as a defensive midfield player that tackles and wins the ball. That just shows how great.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, timing. It's timing. Yeah, I mean,
it's just incredible.
Yeah, the only thing I'd say about Odegaard is it's tough as being the type of player, an attacking player, making things happen. When things start going against you, it is tougher as the style of play he's got. Right, that's the only thing I'd say in his defence. Where you try, like last night as an example, trying to make things happen, and he tried until the end. He got a couple of good shots away. It is tough. And you kind of when things go a bit Pete-tong, it is always that type of player. Then, as my friend Dill would say, that fluffy type of player, right?
Yeah.
That it tends. Everyone goes, he's not doing it, and it is a bit easier to dig in as a Rice type player. So that's the only thing I'd say in defence of Odegaard. But
I think you're right, and that's a fair point, because Declan Rice plays in a position where, you know, he can, even when the team aren't playing well, he's still going to be able to do his job that he's there to do, whereas some of the other players aren't going to get the opportunity to do their job in the same way. Yeah, absolutely. And I do think that's a fair point, actually. That is a fair point. But anyway, regardless of that, Declan Rice is still an incredible player. Funny enough, when he was at West Ham, I thought, like yourself, Lee, I thought he was good at West Ham. And he played for England. I thought, he's all right. And other people said to me when he played for England, Declan Rice is really, really good. And I'm like, is he that good? I wasn't convinced. I wasn't convinced, but now seeing him play for Arsenal, it's like, actually he's better than I could ever have imagined him to be. Whether it's because he's got better players around him now and he fits into that role better, I don't know. But I don't know what it is. But it's almost like he's grown in stature and height and physicality and everything since he's come to Arsenal. I mean, I didn't see him play much at West Ham, I suppose, as well. But he just looks like he's an absolute monster.
He's a beast, isn't he? He's a beast.
He's incredible. I just love the guy. And he just looks like an Arsenal player, the way he talks about Arsenal. He's an Arsenal guy, isn't he? I know he's just only joining, but he should be captain, absolutely. And
we've got half a spine. Think about it. You've got him as a beast. We've got Saliba as a blooming monster as well.
Yeah.
You look at him on the pitch. My God, the stature of the man's ridiculous. So you got him. If we get the striker, we're there. You know, we've been crying for a spine for probably 20 years. We want a solid spine. We're just missing that striker now.
Yeah,
I think we've got it.
That's it. That's the missing piece. It's been the missing piece for about 2 or 3 years, Neil, and then we're still waiting. Maybe we haven't got to wait much longer. Maybe another week or two, and we'll get that sorted. We'll see. Right, the final award then is the biggest award of all, of course. It's the one that everybody wants to win, and there's a couple of choices maybe, but who are we going to go for in this one? So the player of the year then, again, don't be influenced by the picture. That's just someone I put on there because he's a nice guy. He's not going to get my vote necessarily. He's just a nice guy. I like his picture. I mean, Neil, it would be your player of 2023.
I'll be honest with you. If we were just doing this season, it would be Rice. But anyway,
it would be.
But I think, overall, I mean, at the end of the day, Saka has dropped off, as Lee said earlier, but he still gets the numbers. Somehow he still gets the numbers. So, Saka. It's Saka, for me.
Same, Rich. He's just the go-to man, isn't he? The go-to man when 20 minutes to go, we need a goal, we need something to happen, and there's the ball. He gets at his feet, and more often than not, he's not done it lately. Maybe it's just, I don't know, fatigue. I'm not sure, but more often than not, he is the clear winner. But as Neil said, if it was just on this season, it would definitely be Rice. But Saka's been good now for a number of seasons, not just this season. Probably the last 3, right? He's been top draw. So, clear winner, Saka.
Yeah, I don't think there's much argument. I mean, you mentioned Gabriel earlier, Lee, and I think he deserves a shout as well.
He does.
Throughout the whole year. He's been really good. He's never going to get the same he's never going to get the same kind of notice, is he, for the position that he plays. Whereas Saka, of course, because he's an attacking player, he's scoring goals, assisting, and that kind of stuff. But I think that's right. I think Saka for the year, Declan Rice for this season so far, and I say Gabriel should be included as well. As normally mentioned, because of how how consistent he's been. Yeah, absolutely. Just before we finish it, I just want to, obviously we're coming into a new year. It's going to be 2024 very soon. New hopes and new dreams for a new year. So let's just quickly run through what, this really. So I hope for 2024 then. Obviously, I've put Ivan Toney in the picture there because that's my immediate hope for the January transfer window for 2024. And I do think going forward, that will be a massive step forward. I mean, Neil, what are your hopes? Obviously, we want to win some trophies. What will be your realistic hopes for 2024 as a year for the club moving forward?
I'm always saying we're going to win everything, so I'm not going to bore you. I'm not going to repeat that. I just think, looking at taking each game at a time. Yes, we need to strengthen. Seeing the game yesterday for me has cemented the fact that we need someone there. We need a target man. We need a holding player up front. We need a centre forward. We just need one. I'm sorry. That for me is my hopes. I don't do names because I don't do the gossip anymore. I used to, and I got caught out so many times. So I'm not dropping any names. I'm just talking about the position. I think we need someone there. I think I was a little bit worried, just quickly, I was a little bit worried about the midfield because I thought if, God forbid, we've been talking so much about him, something happened to Rice, we're going to be so empty in the midfield. It's going to be unbelievable. But if Partey comes back fit and he can sustain the rest of the season, then I don't think we need to worry about the midfielders. We'll have Rice and Partey, and I think individually they can do the job, and together they'll be just incredible. So I think we'll be okay there. Maybe the left back, he ain't going to address that, so forget it. For me, the hopes are just get the striker, and the other hope is just a change in attitude. Just try and do something a bit different up front. I mean, defensively, I think we're okay. I think just the upfront stuff, we need to do something different, experiment, and maybe getting that striker is the answer. So that's my hopes.
And they're very good hopes indeed. I mean, Lee, what would be your, obviously all our hopes are to win a trophy or two or whatever,
ignoring that.
We've still got 3 trophies up for grabs for us in 2024. I would like us to at least win one of them. And that's a hope every year, though, isn't it? We all hope every year we're going to win a trophy. But sort of aside of that, because we take that for granted, that's what we hope for. I mean, Lee, anything else? I mean, obviously, buying a striker seems to be the most obvious hope that we can all have, really, isn't it?
My hope is that we get. I mean, as Neil mentioned, Partey would be key to getting back. So I hope we address the left back situation, and obviously the striker. I think could be massive for us. But most of all, I just hope to God we don't fall away because the disappointment will be. And again, I've been optimistic, a bit of pessimism, but realism. To fall away would be so disappointing and would be a lot of air out. There'd be a lot of disappointed people because we've shown so much promise, and for it to fall away early because we've got injuries or we're not solving this conundrum where we're trying to pass teams to death, and we're doing this. We've got to find our plan B and our plan C, right? Even plan B. I hope we find another plan, even if that's Arteta takes the players to one side and says, "You see that big white thing? It's big enough just to strike on sight," right? Kevin Phillips used to say, you see the goal, you get your head down, right? Get your foot over it. I mean, Odegaard likes to put it 3 feet over the bar when he does tend to have a strike outside the box. But just shoot. If you don't shoot, you ain't going to score, right? So I hope there's a little bit being a bit pragmatic, and it's not trying to score the beautiful goal is not going to do us any favours in the long term. Just get the scruffy goals. Just do what we need to do to win. And sometimes you got to win ugly. Because my worry is if we continue like last night and after 70 minutes, I think if we carry on like I just can't see us scoring because we need to try something different. And guess what? We never. So the worry is we get into the next game and still try and do the same thing to Fulham and then the next game. So I hope we find our plan B, whether that's through another striker that will naturally give us that different option, or Arteta says, "Okay, I'm going to try and do something different." And I don't have a lot of faith in Arteta finding us a plan B, because I just think he's obviously, he's a young manager. He's seen it's worked for us for the last, in terms of being up there, not winning the big prize. So my worry is he's gonna stick to it. So I hope he doesn't. I hope he realises there's more than one way to skin a cat, whether it's for a new striker or a different type of option. As I say, what amazed me last night is still trying to walk it in when we was inside the penalty box. In the end, I felt like I could have gone and got a drink when we were in the box. Well, we ain't going to score. It's just odds against you beating those 10, 5 sets of legs in that box. You ain't going to get past. You get past one, you ain't getting past 2 or 3. So just that's my hope. We slightly just find another way to win a game of football.
Yeah, I mean, and we're going to have to find another way to win a game of football if we're going to be successful in either of those 3 competitions. I mean, obviously the FA Cup's going to be tough because we've got Liverpool, as we know, in the third round. So, but we're at home. There's no doubt we can't win that game. Mark C says that wasn't even West Ham's first choice back for. It wasn't. No, I mean Mavropanos. Wow. I mean, he never got a hardly game for us. He's hardly played for West Ham, and he gets the go. It kind of sums it up, really, doesn't it? In a way. Yeah. Mark C says if we buy a quality striker, I'll guarantee us a top 3 spot. If we don't, I can see us being 3rd to 6th. I mean, it's very tight, isn't it? That top 6 in terms of there's not much to choose in points at the minute, and maybe you're right. I do feel if we buy the right striker in January, we'll have a hell of a chance of winning the league. I've got to be honest. I think we'll have a hell of a chance of winning the league.
Yeah.
If we don't, then I mean, I think 6th place. I mean, Terry's gone finishing the top 6. I'll be amazed if we finish that low, even with the squad. I want to see what I'd like to see is my hope is that not necessarily just in January, but in the summer window as well, that we can get some game changers on the bench, players that you can bring on who can make a difference to a game. You know, the last, 10 games, I've looked at the bench before the game started. I thought, if we're losing, who's a game changer to come on? Nobody. Yeah. Reece Nelson, Eddie Nketiah, they're the 2 that we always go to. They're not game changers.
No, they're not.
You know, Reece Nelson's a good player, don't get me wrong. He's not really a game changer, is he? You know, we know Eddie Nketiah, he's not going to come on and get you're losing 1-0. He's not going to get you 2 goals in the last 5 minutes and change the game, is he? Or he's going to set up 2 goals or do something like that, is he? I just want to see us having a couple of players on the bench that are game changers, even if it means having someone on the bench like Ødegaard sometimes who can come off the bench and make a difference, but having someone that we can put in the team who isn't going to weaken it by being there. No, someone better than Vieira, for example. You know, just to have game changers in that squad that you can have on the bench, so you've got them to bring on. It seems like all the top teams have got players on the bench that can come on and make a difference. We don't, and I hope that either in January and in the summer we address that issue. So next season we've got that, and for the rest of this season, hopefully we might have a bit more. But that's a big hope for me. And I agree with Lee 100%. Arteta's got to be a bit more flexible tactically. He's got to be a bit more flexible. And if he does, we've got a great chance of winning at least one of these 3 trophies. You know, which one it will be, I don't know. Obviously, there's one in particular that we'd all like, I'm sure. But let's see. I mean, we just want to see us being successful, don't we? That's what we want. Mark says yesterday I'd have given my right arm for a striker like Giroud, Bentner, Adebayor. A game change, a player who can make a difference off the bench, and absolutely a striker in that mould. But Arteta doesn't want a striker like that because he doesn't play that style, does he?
Yeah, Solskjaer or an Ian Wright, that type of player. You know, that kind of goal scorer. Someone come in and just do something on their own, like Wright used to, or Solskjaer, just bring the ball down, beat 2 players, and bosh. That's what you need. There's another option. And Alexis Sanchez type player who can do something. You know, on his own. Can make a difference to a game. And, you know, even when you look at our starting 11, we don't really. We're a very kind of a team unit as opposed to individual players. You need that, but also you need 1 or 2 individuals that can do something different out of the ordinary, and that can make make a difference in games, whether they're starting or coming off the bench. But a player individually can make a difference. We don't really have that in our off the cuff, Rich. Off the cuff. That's the 3 words, right? It's all too regimented, isn't it? I always sometimes watch us play, and even now, after 2 or 3 years of this kind of style, it almost feels like sometimes synchronized swimming. It's like it's all in a sequence, and it's got to be done in that certain sequence, or it doesn't work. And it's like, it's just not. It's not enough. No. That's not enough. No. You need, like you said, you need a little bit of individual flair. You need a little bit of off the cuff kind of unexpected. But they're not allowed to be unexpected, are they? They have to
fit into that. It's like an army marching, isn't it? They all got to be in together. They can't be individual.
Even the best sides can do it. Even like last season, the Etihad City, right? Like how many times were they knocking the ball long for Haaland to run on in the first? They were terrorising us in the first. Saliba had hold of him. He was struck. Same with Gabriel. They were just going long, just turning us over. We never do that, and I see why, because we don't have. I mean, Jesus physically isn't big enough for that long ball. But someone like Tony, you knock a ball long when the team's pressing us, then we're in. We just don't do it. We ain't got the personnel, but we just need those other options.
Exactly. That's what the options is what we need. But also as well, we need Arteta to use those options in that way. You know, he's got Trossard, for example. We said it before that Trossard was the one player that we felt could do something different, and he did it. And now he's got him playing in midfield where he can't. That's not his natural position, and he's not doing anything.
Stick him up front. Put him up front. Stick him up front.
Play him up front. Of course, that's his best position. Or you play him on the left, or you're playing through the centre. You don't play him in Havertz's position because he's not. That's not his. And now it'd be easy for him. It's almost like, and I know it's not the case, but it almost felt last night he played Trossard there to make a point to say, look how much we miss Havertz, because without Havertz, look at how crap we are in that position. Well, no, you played the wrong player there, mate. That's why. Yes, Havertz may have made a difference last night. We don't know. We still may have lost 2-0. But
Trossard is a really incredible player, and we have to use him to his strengths. Otherwise, we're going to lose him as well. He'll go because number one, he's not getting much match time as it is, but he can be a proper impact sub. I've always found he's better as a sub anyway, rather than starting. But when you bring him on as a sub, play him in the right blooming position.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Wenger never played Arshavin to his strengths. He never played Podolski to his strengths. No. I think they were two fabulous players, by the way. Yeah. I don't want the same thing to happen to Trossard. No way.
No, you're right. It's happening to Smith Rowe. It's happening to Martinelli as well. They're not. Yeah. He's not getting the best out of those players because he's more interested in making it fit the system as opposed to allowing individual players to show their flair on their own, and it's hampering certain players. You're right, and I want to see that change. That's my hope, not only for 2024, but going forward beyond that. I want to see that change because I think the players will enjoy it more. 2, we'll enjoy it more as fans, and 3, I think we'll become more successful as well. Yeah, because you do need that. Yes, you need a structure to your team. You need a system. You need all this kind of stuff, but you do as well need some individual brilliance sometimes to win your games.
Yeah, that you're not and a manager, Rich, has to have that. And it comes down to life. We're human beings, personalities, right? Arteta strikes me as the kind of person, you went into his office, there wouldn't be, unlike my office, there wouldn't be anything out of place. Everything would be neat and tidy. And just so, you go into someone like Brian Clough's office and there'll be stuff all over the place. So as simple as that may seem, personalities, right? So he's sticking to a rigid game plan. Someone like Venables or Clough thinking outside the box. Come up with something, whatever I need to do, as Neil said, whatever we need to do to win a game of football, you got to be ready. You can't just keep sticking to the rigid way of doing it. So maybe it just comes down to personality, and it's just he hasn't got that within his makeup. Right.
And I think that comes down to the players that he buys as well. They're all very similar personalities, aren't they?
Yeah,
they are. Yeah. They're not very individually flair. And the ones that are, such as Smith Rowe, as we said, who's got that individual flair, and Martinelli, who's got that individual flair. They're not allowed to express it enough. And you know, Martinelli made a comment, didn't he, after he played for Brazil recently about how he said something about how it was nice to be able to play with some freedom. You know, and I'm not saying he was necessarily knocking Arteta. I'm sure he wasn't, but you can understand him feeling like that when he's got to constantly cover for Zinchenko going missing, and that's not you're not going to get the best out. I mean, Aubameyang didn't want to track back at left back, did he?
No,
you know, and that's what he was being asked to do. He's a striker, get him in the box. I can see him buying Ivan Toney and playing him on the left wing or something stupid, and saying to him, "Don't go into the box." He doesn't want a striker in the box. In 4 years, he's bought one striker, and that's Jesus, who's not really a striker anyway. And that's the only forward player that he's bought. And to me, that's where the problem is. And if he whoever he buys as a striker, my worry is he's not going to play that striker as a 6-yard box striker because he doesn't want his striker in the 6-yard box. He wants the ball to be played back to a midfield runner in the box to get on the end of things like Ødegaard does and put them shots away for about 12 yards, 10 yards. That's the goals he wants to score. He's obsessed with it.
There's no point in buying him then if we continue.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I don't think we will.
Yeah.
That's why I don't think we will, because he doesn't want that sort of striker, because he doesn't want to play that sort of football. Even Pep had to change. Pep used to do that, and now Pep's realised he needed a striker, so he's bought the best striker there is to buy, and look at the difference he's made. You know what I mean? They won the treble because they bought Haaland in, who could score 55 goals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we've got Jesus, who scores 4 goals this season, whatever he scored. You know what I mean? It's that's the difference right there. And he'd buy Ivan Toney, and guarantee Ivan Toney will be stuck out on the wing having to cover for Zinchenko, or he'll be playing in midfield in Trossard's position when Havertz is out. He'll play him there. It's like, you know, stick him on the end of things, stick him in the box, get him to hold the ball up. You know what I mean? But he won't. That's not how he wants to play it. He's ridiculous. But anyway, that's my hope that will change. But I don't think it will. Mark C says we buy players who fit in a church choir. Yeah, we need a striker whose attitude is like Brook. Absolutely, we do. Yeah. Terry says if we get Tony, couldn't play him as an inverted. Yeah, we probably would play him as an inverted left back. Exactly, that's what we'll do. Yeah, that's probably what happen.
Goalkeeper.
And then we'll be saying Tony's crap, isn't he? Tony's crap. No, he's not. He's just playing in the wrong. Like Zinchenko, you play in the wrong position, and you're not going to see the best. But I agree with Mark. We need a Drogba, Costa type centre forward who's who's a target. You can a focal point. They can hold on to the ball. They can keep possession up.
What did they used to call it? What did they used to call that type of player? We need a maverick. We need a Frank Worthington, someone, or a Rodney Marsh, someone like that. Someone who's just off the cuff, you know. But
but he got rid of Ozil for that reason, didn't he? He got rid of Ozil because that's what Ozil was. Ozil was you'd call him a luxury player maybe, because they're not always going to work for the system, but when they've got the ball, they'll do amazing things. And Arteta doesn't want that. He doesn't want that. And he don't. We do as fans because we love seeing it, because it's brilliant to watch. It's exciting. It's off your seat, doesn't it? But anyway, that is my hope anyway, that he'll do that so we can all enjoy watching the team a bit more and become more successful and get the best out of some of these talented players that we've got. So that was 2023. What do we make of it overall, Neil? Give it a score out of 10 for 2023 as a whole for Arsenal. What would you say?
I'd say I'd give it a strong 7.5.
7.5, yeah, I suppose that's fair. Lee, what would you say overall then for 2023?
I'd have to go 8.5, right? Because despite the realism that we've been talking about the last 10 minutes, look at our position. We haven't won it, but we've been consistent. We were second. We are second now. We've been top. So the consistency is there. So I wouldn't want to give less than 8.5. I think it's we haven't gone deep into any competition. So maybe I've been slightly generous, but 8.5 purely because we're at the level still. For a whole year, we kept at that level against strong competition. Like you can say, Man U and Chelsea have kind of fallen away a bit, but I'll go 8.5, slightly generous.
I think it's slightly generous, but I would say 8.5 if we'd won a trophy. Maybe you might have got away.
Just to reel you in, Rich. I went 8.5 just to reel you in there. I knew you.
No, I think that's fair enough. Then. I mean, I would say maybe 7 because I think we blew a good chance of winning the league. That was there for us this season. We've improved in certain areas, but we're lacking something still for me. And obviously, like you said, we didn't go very far in any of the cups really, which is disappointing.
It's disappointing,
Yeah, it is, and that puts a little bit of a downer on it all, really. Because if you can't win the league, at least try and win a cup. Do you know what I mean? At least try and win a cup. I'm not saying you're going to win a cup, but at least try.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, Europa was disappointing, wasn't it? Europa was really disappointing.
We had a chance there. You look at the teams left in that. If we got through that game against Sporting, we had a great chance of winning that.
Yeah.
With looking who was left in it, but he wanted to win the Premier League, didn't he, Arteta? So he wasn't too bothered at the time. No one seemed to, but I was bothered because we haven't won enough European trophies. No one else seemed bothered. Let's throw the Europa League. You can't throw the Europa League.
You were saying it, Rich. You were saying it. Remember,
you did say it, and Rich, hands up. I weren't that bothered, right? Because I was so
as well. Hands up. I was with you, Lee.
I had the place booked opposite the Islington Town Hall, thinking, what Sunday is it? I won't be going. Shouldn't have gone on holiday late May. I was bought in. I'll take a cup. I was carried away. So, but you were right, Rich. You are the voice of reason.
Was right.
You was right. Don't throw it away. Don't throw it away. But as the BG said, but no, you're right.
And hopefully this year the FA Cup's coming around. Let's stay in the FA Cup as long as we can. That's what Arsene Wenger used to do, didn't he? He'd keep himself in the FA Cup. Regardless, sometimes we were top of the league in January, February. He'd still keep us in the FA Cup, wouldn't he? And then what happened is we'd fall away in the league, and we still had the FA Cup to fall back on, and then he'd throw everything at that, the quarter-final, semi-final, final. And why not do that? Keep yourself in it. because it might come in handy. It's a trophy at the end of the day. It's a nice trophy to win. We've won it the most. Let's at least do that. Even if the Champions League's out of our reach, which it may well be this year. The Premier League, we don't know yet. Please keep ourselves in the FA Cup as long as we can. Play a strong team against Liverpool. Let's go through and let's go as far as we can. And let's play a strong team in the FA Cup to keep ourselves in it. That's
from an emotional standpoint, the FA Cup's my favourite trophy of all time in sports. It really is. It means so much.
Emotionally,
yeah. Head-wise, obviously you have to say the Prem or the league because it's consistency. But FA Cup wipes the floor with everything, and that includes all sports for me. It's the oldest club. It's the oldest club competition in the world. It's the oldest sporting competition in the world. I think. So
No, you're right. You're right. And a lot of players. I mean, not so much maybe the younger players now, but certainly the previous generation of players and beyond. Their whole life, grew up watching the FA Cup final. Their dream was to play. You speak to a lot of even some of the foreign players now from abroad. Their dream is to play at Wembley in the FA Cup final. Still their dream now. That's what that was. It's always their dream, and that shows how important it is. Yes, of course you want to win league titles as a player, but winning a league title. I mean, I've only played at sort of a very, very basic level of football, but I've played in cup finals and I've won leagues with my team. Winning a cup final is much more exciting than winning a league because a league's not one game; it's over 20 games or however many games in your league that you've got, and it's great to win it because you're the best team and it's a great achievement. But as a one-off event. Playing in a cup final, winning a cup final, nothing beats it. You can't beat that. It's impossible.
No.
And winning a league doesn't beat that. Maybe Anfield 89 does because that was like a cup final. So that probably was. But that's not normally how leagues are won, are they? Leagues are normally won over... Sometimes leagues are won because the other team loses a game and you win the league without even playing.
91.
Yeah, exactly. So that a cup final tops that all day long. Absolutely. And as a fan, you don't lose that excitement of winning a cup final.
No, you don't.
I agree. The FA Cup is a special trophy, and you can't get enough of winning it. I'd love to win it every single season. I'll set up for it this year. Mark C says, love the FA Cup, but for us to regain some credibility beyond the UK, we need a European trophy. Yeah, we do. Yeah, absolutely. Are we going to win? See, I think we've had 4 or 5 opportunities in the Europa League to have put another European trophy on the cabinet. We could have done it. We've had a couple of semi-finals, we had a final, and we should have won that Europa League. And at least we'd have had 3 European trophies. It wouldn't look so bad. Now we've got to try and win the Champions League to get that European trophy.
Yeah,
and
we're
not at that level yet. I'm not saying we won't ever be.
No.
Look how long, that great team under Wenger. We got to 1 final. All that great team. And we couldn't even get to a final of the Champions League. And we expect this team now, of the team that bottled the league last year, with a load of young players that have never played at that level before, to win it this season. No chance. I mean, go as far as we can. Of course, let's try. Yeah. But realistically, we're not going to win that this year, probably, or next year. I wouldn't.
No.
So let's keep in it as long as we can. But FA Cup, man, let's go for it. Let's go. Yes, a European Champions League would top everything. Let's be honest; it's the one thing missing from our history, isn't it? The only trophy we've never won. We've won everything else. We can just say we've completed it. Then football, we've completed it. Once we've won that, that's it. We completed it. But it's going to take a while. Terry says, "Was that with the Dagenham shot for 11?" when I won the cup, it probably was. Yeah, I did play in Dagenham actually for a while. Those were the days, weren't they? Shoplifters 11. Yeah, that was a good team. It was a great team. They're great days. But no, I mean, I think So 2023 has not been bad, but room for improvement, shall we say? Room for improvement. Mark says it still pains me that somehow between 97 and 2007 we didn't win either UEFA Cup or Champions League. And it's since we was out of the Champions League in 2017, it annoys me that we never managed to win the Europa League in all those years that we were in it, because we were the best club in it, the best team in it for most of those seasons.
Yeah, we should have done.
We should have won at least one.
Chelsea, Man United have won, haven't they, the last 10 years, and they both pair of them.
Yeah, and you look at other teams in Europe that have won it. Villarreal, you know what I mean? They're not a great team in Europe. They've won the Europa League, and Sevilla have won it loads of times, haven't they? So we should have won 80, that.
They've won it about 60 times, haven't they, Sevilla?
Yeah, they have. Yeah,
win it every year,
don't they? They don't care about the Champions League. They get knocked out of the Champions League in the group stage just to go in the Europa League so they can win it. It makes sense. That's what we should have done. That's what we should have done.
Yeah.
But no, you're right. We do need more. We do need more European trophies, but I think this season we're going to have to settle for one of the domestic ones.
Yeah,
and let's go for it. Who knows? Anyway, I'll tell you what it's been. Tonight has been fantastic because it's been great to have Neil and Lee back on the show. Two of my absolute all-time favourite guests as well. It's been a long time. Rich. I'm going to start doing these sort of review shows a bit more regularly in the new year, once a week again, looking at the games and stuff like that. I haven't really had time to do it. There's so much stuff I've had going on, but in January, I'm hoping that we can start doing these on a regular weekly basis again, maybe on a Monday. Look back at a game at the weekend and look ahead and that kind of stuff like we used to do. So we'll try and get that sorted in the new year because I do enjoy it. I just haven't had a chance to do it, and it's been great. It's been great. It's obviously having you two guys back on again. So have you enjoyed it, Neil, being back on again? I know it's been a while, hasn't it? It's been a long time.
Absolutely brilliant. Honestly, I've missed it. You guys have made me laugh so much as well. It's kind of been so cathartic after the disappointment of yesterday. I was really angry yesterday and really upset. And it's been a joy to be on. Thank you for that. Thank you to Lee. Lee've had some interaction with you on Twitter. You've always so kind to me on Twitter. Really appreciate it.
Mate.
Rich,
thanks.
And Rich, always, always an honour and pleasure to be on. And thank you for always considering me. And the people in the chat have been fantastic, always. So loved it, mate. Thank you.
No problem. Sorry, it's good to be back. And of course, Lee as well. Good to see you again. I say it's been a while since you've been on as well. So it's a while since I've done one of these shows anyway. So that's probably why. But it's good to have you back as well. You enjoyed it?
Love it. I always do. It's good to talk about my favourite subject with knowledgeable people rather than people who are not so knowledgeable out there. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, but you two guys know your stuff, so it's enjoyable. So I look forward to doing more in the new year, Rich.
Exactly. I definitely want to get it up again and running because I miss doing it as well. It's just the time, basically. That's all it's been. It's getting so much going on. Mark C says, great show again, Rich. Have a good night, fellas. And yourself, my friend. We've got Michael as well. Obviously, Neil's mate Michael. How you doing? He's been on the channel as well before. Happy New Year, gents. He says all in the chat. Indeed. And yourself, my friend. Hope you're doing well. So that is a review of 2023. We got through quite a lot of stuff there. I wanted to get the West Ham game out of the way first, so we could get our disappointment going, and then we could look back on some better memories and get it. It was better than it was good. Terry says, "Great show tonight, Richard. It was great to see Lee and my favourite Neil. Have a great weekend and a great new year. Love you guys. You're so entertaining." No, thank you very much, Terry. Obviously, all the comments as well. There's loads of comments in the chat earlier. Actually, I couldn't get through them all. We were just getting into it all. But thank you to everyone for joining in with the show. It's been great. I'll be back on Sunday. Of course, the final show of the year will be the Fulham game on Sunday afternoon. 2:00 kickoff it is. I'll be about 1:45. So please join me for that if you can. Our last game, let's end 2023 with a bang, shall we? It was a bit of a whimper the other night. Let's go out with a bang. I'm also on Talk TV again Sunday night as well at 7:00. So if you're around, then we're obviously going to talk about the Fulham game and one or two other bits as well. So join me for that if you can. But I'll be here for the game on Sunday, 1:45. Join me for that. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. Enjoy your weekend. Hopefully we can. I say, go have a bang on Sunday. That's what we want to end the year in style. Beat Fulham, and we'll forget that West Ham ever happened.
Exactly.
Thanks for you guys for watching. Don't forget to give us a like. Please subscribe. Thanks to Neil. Thanks to Lee. Great to have you guys back on, and thanks to all you guys in the chat. I will see you Sunday. Take it easy, everyone.
Cheers.
Come on, you Gunners.
Neil. Cheers, Rich. Come on, you Gunners.
See you later, guys. Take it easy.
See you guys. Bye.